Hey truckers, today we're seeing part 27 of Villain Tricks Heroines into Hating the MC. Let's dive into the video. As Lin Fei lay on the ground, battered and bruised from his intense battle with Wang Jian, he could feel the pain coursing through every fiber of his being. His body throbbed with agony, and he struggled to draw breath as he fought to stay conscious. Wang Jian, his opponent, stood over him with a potent ball of flame in his hands, his eyes gleaming with malice as he prepared to deliver the final blow. Lin Fei knew that if Wang Jian unleashed that deadly attack, it would spell the end for him. But just as Wang Jian moved to strike, a figure appeared in the arena, drawing everyone's attention. It was Elder Liang, a powerful cultivator from the Nangong family, and he had stepped in to intervene. Elder Liang. Wang Jian's voice was filled with surprise as he halted his attack, his gaze shifting to the newcomer. Elder Liang's expression was stern as he addressed Wang Jian. Wang Jian, you must not kill him. Wang Jian's lips curled into a smirk as he regarded Elder Liang. But the match isn't over yet. I haven't heard him surrender. Elder Liang turned his gaze to Lin Fei, his eyes searching for any sign of surrender. But Lin Fei remained silent, his pride refusing to let him admit defeat even in the face of overwhelming odds. The sight of Lin Fei's battered form stirred something within Elder Liang, a mixture of pity and frustration. He had hoped that Lin Fei would have the sense to surrender, but it seemed that his stubbornness knew no bounds. With a heavy heart, Elder Liang turned back to Wang Jian. Very well, continue then. Wang Jian's smirk widened as he resumed his advance towards Lin Fei, the ball of flame in his hand glowing with intense heat. Lin Fei could feel fear creeping into his heart as he stared at the deadly weapon aimed at him. But even as fear threatened to overwhelm him, Lin Fei's pride rebelled against the idea of surrender. He gritted his teeth, his resolve hardening as he fought to maintain his dignity in the face of defeat. However, Elder Liang's stern gaze bore down on him, urging him to reconsider. Lin Fei knew that he couldn't afford to be stubborn any longer. With a heavy sigh, he finally relented, his voice barely a whisper as he uttered his surrender. The tension in the arena eased as Wang Jian let out a sigh, dispersing the ball of flame in his hand. He cast a glance at Elder Liang, a hint of annoyance flickering in his eyes. Elder Liang's expression softened slightly as he nodded in acknowledgement. With a wave of his hand, he signaled for Wang Jian to step down from the stage. As Wang Jian made his way off the stage, Elder Liang approached Lin Fei, his gaze filled with concern. With a gentle touch, he lifted Lin Fei from the ground, his strong arms supporting him as he carried him towards the infirmary. As they made their way through the bustling crowd, Lin Fei couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude towards Elder Liang. As Wang Jian strolled over to where Shui Shuiying, Lin Xingya, and Ji Shi were waiting, he couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction as the two women latched onto his arms, their curves pressing against him enticingly. Shui Shuiying and Lin Xingya's soft bosoms enveloped his arms, their warmth seeping into him and filling him with a sense of contentment. It was a blissful feeling, having two beautiful women by his side, their admiration evident in their eyes. Meanwhile, Ji Shi maintained her distance from Wang Jian, her expression neutral as she observed the interaction between him and the other women. The trio of women began to chatter excitedly about the match, their voices filled with praise for Wang Jian's formidable flame abilities. They marveled at the power he had displayed, noting with surprise how his flames seemed to surpass even the legendary phoenix flames. Wang Jian waved off their compliments with a casual shrug. It's nothing, really. Just a little display of what I'm capable of. As the conversation turned to the upcoming match, Wang Jian's attention shifted to Lin Xingya, his gaze filled with confidence. He knew that she was more than capable of holding her own in the arena. Xingya, you've got this, he said, his voice firm. Don't hold back. Show them what you're made of. Lin Xingya nodded in response, her expression serious. She understood the importance of the match and was determined to emerge victorious. With a final word of encouragement, Wang Jian bid them farewell, his gaze lingering on Lin Xingya for a moment longer before he turned and made his way towards the sidelines to watch the match unfold. As Lin Xingya prepared to enter the arena, her heart raced with anticipation. She knew that this would be her toughest challenge yet, but she was ready to face it head-on. With a deep breath, she stepped onto the stage, her eyes focused on her opponent as she prepared to give it her all. As the match commenced, the crowd fell silent, their eyes glued to the stage where Lin Xingya and her opponent, Ting Feng, stood poised for battle. With a swift motion, Lin Xingya drew her sword, its blade gleaming in the sunlight as she infused it with her celestial holy elemental energy. She wasted no time in launching herself into the fray, her movements fluid and precise as she executed a series of intricate sword techniques known as celestial dance. Her opponent, Ting Feng, armed with a hefty mace imbued with earth elemental energy, braced himself for the onslaught. With a roar, he swung his weapon with formidable strength, aiming to crush Lin Xingya with brute force, utilizing the earthquake strike technique. But Lin Xingya was not one to be easily intimidated. With a graceful twirl of her sword, she deftly parried Ting Feng's attacks, her celestial energy forming a protective barrier around her body as she countered with swift and precise strikes of her own, employing the heavenly shield technique. The arena reverberated with the clash of metal as the two opponents engaged in a fierce battle of skill and strength. Lin Xingya's celestial swordsmanship, augmented by the celestial holy energy, was matched only by Ting Feng's earth elemental martial techniques. Each combatant pushed themselves to their limits in an effort to gain the upper hand. Despite the pressure mounting against him, Ting Feng remained steadfast, his determination evident in the ferocity of his attacks. With each swing of his mace, he sought to break through Lin Xingya's defenses and deliver a decisive blow, utilizing the Mountain's Wrath technique. But Lin Xingya was not so easily bested. With a steely resolve, she continued to press forward, her sword flashing like lightning as she unleashed a flurry of strikes against Ting Feng. She knew that she had to keep the pressure on if she was to emerge victorious in this intense battle. As the fight raged on, both combatants began to show signs of fatigue, their movements growing sluggish as they struggled to maintain their momentum. But Lin Xingya refused to relent, her determination driving her forward as she fought with all her strength, utilizing the celestial surge technique to bolster her attacks. Then, in a critical moment, Ting Feng made a fatal mistake. With lightning-fast reflexes, Lin Xingya seized the opportunity, launching herself forward with a powerful thrust of her sword. The blade sliced through the air with deadly precision, striking Ting Feng squarely in the chest and shattering the protective barrier around him. With a resounding crash, Ting Feng was sent flying out of the arena, his body limp and unconscious as he tumbled to the ground below. The crowd erupted into cheers as they watched Lin Xingya emerge victorious, her celestial holy elemental abilities proving too much for Ting Feng to handle. With a triumphant smile, she sheathed her sword and bowed graciously to the crowd, basking in the glory of her hard-earned victory. The arena buzzed with anticipation as Shui Shuiying stepped onto the stage, her graceful presence commanding attention from the crowd. She flashed a confident smile to the audience, her eyes sparkling with determination as she prepared to showcase her formidable skills. Opposite her stood her opponent, another noble heir renowned for his prowess in combat. He brandished his weapon, a sleek spear imbued with the power of water elemental energy, ready to face Shui Shuiying in battle. 21-17. The referee signaled for the match to begin, and without hesitation, Shui Shuiying sprang into action. She moved with fluid grace, her movements reminiscent of a flowing stream as she unleashed a series of water-based martial techniques. With a flick of her wrist, she conjured torrents of water that danced around her opponent, creating a barrier of liquid defense. She followed up with the Mistral Mirage, a technique that obscured her movements with swirling mists, making it difficult for her opponent to anticipate her next strike. Her opponent, taken aback by Shui Shuiying's agility and finesse, struggled to keep up. He attempted to counter with his spear, but Shui Shuiying's evasive maneuvers proved too elusive to pin down. In a decisive moment, Shui Shuiying unleashed the Cascade Fury, a powerful technique that sent surges of water crashing down upon her opponent with overwhelming force. The force of the attack shattered his defenses, leaving him vulnerable to her final blow. With a swift motion, Shui Shuiying delivered the finishing strike, her palm glowing with water elemental energy as she struck her opponent with pinpoint precision. The force of the blow sent him sprawling to the ground, defeated. The crowd erupted into cheers as Shui Shuiying emerged victorious, her elegant performance earning her the admiration of all who watched. She smiled modestly, acknowledging the applause before stepping off the stage, her victory secure. Meanwhile, Shi faced off against her fellow senior brother from the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, a skilled practitioner of martial arts known for his agility and cunning tactics. Despite their close relationship, both fighters were determined to emerge victorious in the match. Shi, with her graceful yet powerful movements, demonstrated her expertise in combat as she engaged her opponent in a flurry of strikes and counterattacks. She utilized the Jade Serpent Dance, a technique that allowed her to move with unparalleled speed and agility, weaving effortlessly through her opponent's defenses. Her opponent, equally skilled in combat, matched her blow for blow, his movements fluid and precise as he sought to gain the upper hand. He unleashed a series of rapid strikes, each one aimed with deadly accuracy at Shi's vulnerable points. However, Shi remained unfazed, her focus unwavering as she countered with the Heavenly Blossom Palm, a technique that unleashed waves of energy with each strike, battering her opponent's defenses and leaving him reeling. Discover new chapters at novelby.co. With determination in her eyes, Shi pressed forward, her movements becoming more fluid and precise with each passing moment. She executed a series of intricate maneuvers, culminating in the Azure Dragon's Fury, a devastating technique that sent her opponent flying across the arena with its sheer force. As the dust settled, Shi emerged victorious, her opponent lying defeated on the ground. She smiled triumphantly, a sense of satisfaction washing over her as she basked in the applause of the crowd. As Shi basked in the glow of victory, she made her way back to the stands, where her companions awaited. Wang Jian, Lin Xingya, and Shui Shuiying greeted her with warm congratulations, their smiles bright with genuine happiness for her success. "Congratulations, Shi. That was an impressive display out there," Lin Xingya exclaimed, her eyes alight with admiration. "Yeah, you really showed them what you're made of," Shui Shuiying added, her voice filled with genuine praise. Shi beamed at their words, feeling a swell of pride at their encouragement. "Thanks, guys. It means a lot coming from you." Their conversations soon turned to the upcoming matches, with Shi and Lin Xingya sharing a competitive glance. Tomorrow's match between them promised to be an intense showdown, and both women were eager to prove themselves in the arena. With their discussions winding down, the group began to make their way back to their respective residences. Shi bid her friends farewell and headed towards her assigned residence, her mind already turning towards tomorrow's match. Meanwhile, Wang Jian, Lin Xingya, and Shui Shuiying set off towards Shui Shuiying's residence, their footsteps echoing in the quiet streets. As they reached their destination, Wang Jian wasted no time in taking charge, swiftly leading the way inside. Once inside, the atmosphere quickly turned intimate as Wang Jian's hands roamed freely, eagerly stripping away the clothing of both women. Lin Xingya and Shui Shuiying responded with equal enthusiasm, their laughter mingling with the sounds of desire as they surrendered themselves to pleasure. With each touch and caress, the passion between them grew, igniting a fiery blaze of desire that consumed them all. Their bodies intertwined in a tangle of limbs, lost in the throes of ecstasy as they surrendered themselves fully to the intoxicating pleasure of the moment. As the night wore on, their passion only intensified, reaching dizzying heights of ecstasy that left them breathless and sated. In each other's arms, they found solace and fulfillment, their bond growing stronger with each shared moment of intimacy. Eventually, as the first light of dawn began to peek through the curtains, their ardor finally began to wane. With lingering kisses and whispered promises, they reluctantly parted ways, each retreating to their own beds with the memory of their shared passion still burning brightly in their hearts. Meanwhile, in this moment, as Lin Fei lay on the comfortable bed in the infirmary, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. The skilled doctors and alchemists of the Nangong family had worked tirelessly to heal his injuries from the intense battle with Wang Jian. Despite the severity of his wounds, their efforts had been successful, and now Lin Fei could feel his body slowly regaining its strength. In the quiet of the infirmary, Lin Fei's thoughts drifted to the upcoming battles that awaited him. He was determined to emerge victorious, to prove himself and to seek vengeance against those who had wronged him. But first, he needed to recover fully and regain his strength. It was at this moment that the door to the infirmary creaked open, and Elder Liang entered the room. Lin Fei's gaze shifted towards the elder, curiosity flickering in his eyes as he wondered what the elder had come to discuss. Elder Liang approached Lin Fei's bedside, a solemn expression on his face as he reached into his storage bag and produced something from within. Lin Fei's eyes widened in surprise as he recognized the object in the elder's hand, the flame dragon's heart. The mere sight of the flame dragon's heart filled Lin Fei with a sense of longing. He had heard tales of its legendary power, and now, to see it before him was both awe-inspiring and tantalizing. Elder Liang. Lin Fei began, his voice tinged with anticipation as he looked up at the elder. Elder Liang met Lin Fei's gaze, his expression grave yet determined. "This is the flame dragon's heart," he said, his tone carrying a weight of significance. "With its power, you can accelerate your healing process and replenish your strength much faster." Lin Fei's heart raced with excitement at the prospect of harnessing the flame dragon's heart's power. He knew that with its help, he could recover swiftly and be ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But, Elder Liang continued, his tone taking on a more serious note, "If you wish to possess the flame dragon's heart, you must agree to a contract." Lin Fei's brow furrowed in confusion. "What kind of contract?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. Elder Liang's lips curled into a sly smile as he revealed his true intentions. "I require your assistance in a matter of utmost importance," he explained. "I seek to change the leadership of the Nangong family. Together, we will eliminate certain guests invited to the tournament and frame the head of the Nangong family for the deed. With the support of other families and factions, we will overthrow the current leadership and claim the position for ourselves." Lin Fei's mind whirled with conflicting thoughts as he considered Elder Liang's proposal. Before his defeat at the hands of Wang Jian, such schemes would have been unthinkable to him, a betrayal of his principles. But now, with his ambitions fueled by desperation and a desire for power, the offer held a newfound appeal. Elder Liang's plan offered him an opportunity to secure his own interests and potentially develop a great relationship with the head of the Nangong family. It was a risky gambit, but one that promised great rewards. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Fei nodded decisively. "I will assist you, Elder Liang. Let us begin your preparations." Elder Liang's eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he extended the flame dragon's heart towards Lin Fei. After handing over the flame dragon's heart, Elder Liang presented Lin Fei with a contract, urging him to seal their agreement with his blood. With a steady hand, Lin Fei pricked his finger, allowing a drop of blood to fall onto the parchment. As the contract shimmered, an illusionary chain materialized, binding them together in their pact. Satisfied with the binding magic, Elder Liang departed from the infirmary, leaving Lin Fei to absorb the potent energy of the flame dragon's heart in peace. 21:18. Throughout the day, Lin Fei focused on absorbing the fiery essence, channeling it through his phoenix ascending technique to accelerate his healing process. The intense flames revitalized his body, restoring him to his peak condition in a matter of hours. When Elder Liang returned, his demeanor brimming with purpose, Lin Fei listened attentively as the details of their scheme unfolded. The plan was set to unfold during the second match of the afternoon, when chaos would erupt amidst the tournament proceedings. Clad in dark robes, members of Elder Liang's faction would launch a coordinated assault on the heirs of prominent families and sects. As they approached the arena, the atmosphere crackled with tension, the air thick with anticipation. Lin Fei scanned the crowd, noting the familiar faces of competitors and spectators alike. Among them, he spotted the subtle movements of Elder Liang's allies, their dark robes blending seamlessly into the crowd. "It's time," Elder Liang murmured, his voice low but resolute. "Remember your role, Lin Fei. We must act swiftly and decisively." Lin Fei nodded in understanding, his heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. With a deep breath, he steeled himself for the task ahead, his gaze fixed on the unfolding events before them. As the second match commenced, the tension in the air reached its peak, the arena buzzed with anticipation as the second match of the day unfolded, spectators leaning forward in their seats, eager for the action to begin. Among them, Wang Jian, Shui Shuiying, Lin Xingya, and Ji Shi lounged in the stands, their attention drifting lazily over the competitors below. "Looks like another boring match," Wang Jian remarked, his tone tinged with mild disappointment. Shui Shuiying nodded in agreement, her gaze wandering idly across the arena. "Yeah, nothing too exciting happening." N/W novel chapters are published on no/vel/bin.co/m. But their casual conversation was abruptly interrupted by a sudden flurry of movement. Dark-robed figures darted into action, launching a coordinated assault on the noble family heirs and sect members. "Hey, what's going on down there?" Lin Xingya exclaimed, her eyes widening in shock as chaos erupted on the arena floor. Wang Jian's senses sharpened as he surveyed the scene, his instincts alert to the unfolding danger. Among the attackers, he spotted the unmistakable figure of Lin Fei, moving with purpose amidst the chaos. "Lin Fei's involved in this?" Wang Jian muttered, his brows furrowing with suspicion. "Something doesn't add up." Without hesitation, he sprang into action, his gaze flicking to his companions. "Shui Shuiying, Lin Xingya, Ji Shi, we need to intervene. Capture those dark-robed figures and find out what's going on." With a nod of determination, they leaped into action, each racing to apprehend the assailants and unravel the mystery behind the sudden attack. Meanwhile, Wang Jian wasted no time, his strides quickening as he closed the distance between himself and Lin Fei. A sly smirk curved his lips as he approached, his gaze locked on his target. Well, what do we have here?" Wang Jian called out, his voice dripping with mock amusement as he drew nearer to Lin Fei. Wang Jian's mocking words cut through the chaos like a knife, his taunt striking a nerve within Lin Fei. Anger surged through Lin Fei's veins, his fists clenched tightly at his sides as he faced his adversary. "Is that why you're doing this? Because you lost to me?" Wang Jian's voice dripped with amusement, his smirk widening at the sight of Lin Fei's fury. The taunt struck a nerve with Lin Fei, igniting a fiery rage within him. Without a word, he summoned the full force of his flame technique, unleashing a blistering torrent of fire at Wang Jian. But even as the flames surged towards him, Wang Jian remained unfazed. With a flick of his wrist, he dispersed the attack effortlessly, the flames dissipating into nothingness. "Not bad, but not good enough," Wang Jian chuckled, his eyes glittering with amusement. "You should know better than to challenge me again." Lin Fei's jaw clenched in frustration. He knew he was no match for Wang Jian in his current state. With a swift movement, he darted away, his mind racing as he sought an escape route. As he fled, Wang Jian's voice echoed behind him, taunting and cruel. "Oh, and by the way, your sister Lin Xingya is quite the delightful plaything. I can't wait to have some more fun with her." The mention of Lin Xingya sent a surge of fury coursing through Lin Fei's veins, his jaw clenched with determination. With a swift motion, he lashed out at another noble heir in his path, his mind consumed with thoughts of escape and revenge. But Wang Jian was not finished yet. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a thin tendril of flame towards Lin Fei, the heat searing through the dark robe that concealed his identity. As the fabric burned away, Lin Fei's true appearance was revealed, his features twisted with determination as he faced his adversary head-on. With his cover blown, he knew he had no choice but to retreat. Activating an escape talisman, Lin Fei vanished in a flash of light, leaving behind the chaos of the arena as he fled to a distant star. Amidst the chaos and confusion, the other members of Elder Liang's faction unleashed a torrent of destruction upon the direct heirs of noble families, their dark robes concealing their true identities as they struck with deadly precision. In the midst of the carnage, demonic cultivators revealed themselves, their sinister presence adding to the turmoil. Witnesses, already reeling from the attack, spotted Lin Fei among the assailants, casting suspicion upon him and tarnishing his reputation in the eyes of many. Amidst the chaos that ensued after the attack, the atmosphere crackled with tension and anger. Surviving noble heirs, their faces contorted with fury, directed their wrath towards the Nangong family, their accusations flying like arrows. "You call this security? We trusted you to host a safe tournament. Shame on the Nangong family. You've brought disgrace upon yourselves. We won't forget this. Our families will hear about what happened here today." The clamor of voices filled the air, each one more vehement than the last as the aggrieved heirs voiced their grievances. In the midst of the turmoil, Nangong Jiqing, the head of the Nangong family, appeared, his expression grave as he addressed the enraged noble heirs. "Please, my friends, allow me to offer my sincerest apologies for the lapse in security. I assure you, we will spare no effort in investigating this matter and ensuring that justice is served." But before he could continue, Elder Nangong Liang stepped forward, his eyes ablaze with determination. "Words are not enough, Nangong Jiqing. The time for action is now. If you truly wish to lead the Nangong family again, then prove it by facing me in a duel for the position of head." The challenge hung in the air like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through the gathered crowd. 21:19. Nangong Jiqing's face paled slightly, his gaze meeting Elder Liang's with a mixture of resolve and apprehension. As the tension mounted, whispers rippled through the crowd, speculation swirling about the outcome of the impending battle. "I can't believe it. Elder Liang challenging the head of the family. It's unheard of. This could change everything." Read latest OVLS at nv/e/l/buy. Calm. Who do you think will win? Elder Liang or family head Jiqing? Meanwhile, Elder Liang stood firm, his gaze fixed unwaveringly on Nangong Jiqing. In his heart, he knew that this duel would determine the fate of the Nangong family, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to emerge victorious. Gathered at the arena, Wang Jian, Shui Shuiying, Lin Xingya, and Ji Shi observed the impending showdown between Nangong Jiqing and Elder Liang with keen interest. The air was charged with anticipation as they awaited the clash between the two formidable opponents. "So, who do you think will emerge victorious?" Wang Jian inquired, his gaze shifting between the three women. Shui Shuiying spoke first, her voice tinged with confidence. "Nangong Jiqing has the advantage. He's been the family head for years, with access to abundant resources and a stable foundation. Plus, he's reached the 6th stage of the divine tribulation realm." Lin Xingya nodded in agreement, but a furrow appeared on her brow. "But why would Elder Liang challenge him if he's at a disadvantage?" Ji Shi chimed in, her eyes alight with insight. "It's because of Elder Liang's mace. It's imbued with divine properties and specializes in targeting internal energies. With careful strategy, he could turn the tide of battle." Wang Jian nodded thoughtfully, adding his own analysis. "True, but there's more to it. Elder Liang has been preparing for this moment for some time. He's set up a subtle array formation around the arena, designed to siphon off divine energy from his opponent and channel it to himself. The trio of beauties exchanged surprised glances, impressed by Wang Jian's astute observation. Shi, in particular, seemed intrigued by this revelation, her curiosity piqued. The arena erupted in anticipation as Elder Nangong Liang and Patriarch Nangong Jiqing stepped onto the stage, their eyes locked in a silent challenge. The atmosphere crackled with energy as the spectators braced themselves for the clash between these two formidable adversaries. With a fierce cry, Nangong Jiqing launched the first attack, summoning forth torrents of divine energy with his technique, Heaven's Wrath. Brilliant beams of light shot forth from his outstretched hand, aiming to engulf Elder Liang in their celestial fury. However, Elder Liang was quick to respond, conjuring a protective barrier around himself with his defensive technique, Earthbound Shield. The barrier shimmered with an earthy glow as it absorbed the onslaught of divine energy, deflecting the attack with ease. Undeterred, Nangong Jiqing pressed forward, unleashing a barrage of strikes with his weapon, the Celestial Blade. Each swing was imbued with the power of the heavens, slicing through the air with deadly precision as he sought to break through Elder Liang's defenses. Elder Liang countered with his own weapon, the Mace of Earth's Fury. With a mighty swing, he sent shockwaves rippling through the arena, aiming to disrupt Nangong Jiqing's attacks and gained the upper hand in the battle. As the two opponents clashed, the arena reverberated with the sound of their combat, each strike sending sparks flying in all directions. Nangong Jiqing's attacks were fierce and relentless, but Elder Liang held his ground, his determination unwavering. Just when it seemed like Nangong Jiqing had gained the advantage, Elder Liang activated the subtle array formation that surrounded the arena, channeling its power to bolster his own strength. The divine energy flowed into him, revitalizing his reserves and imbuing his attacks with newfound power. With a renewed vigor, Elder Liang unleashed a devastating counterattack, his mace crackling with elemental energy as he launched his technique, Terra's Wrath. The ground trembled beneath him as torrents of earth and stone surged forward, threatening to overwhelm Nangong Jiqing. Caught off guard by the sudden surge of power, Nangong Jiqing struggled to defend against the onslaught, his celestial energy faltering in the face of Elder Liang's earth-based attacks. Desperate to regain control of the battle, he summoned forth his own elemental technique, Heavenly Retribution, unleashing a barrage of divine lightning in a last-ditch effort to turn the tide. But Elder Liang was prepared, his mace absorbing the brunt of the lightning strikes as he pressed forward with unwavering determination. With a mighty roar, he unleashed his final technique, Molten Fury, channeling the fiery energy of the earth itself to engulf Nangong Jiqing in a blazing inferno. Caught in the searing heat of Elder Liang's attack, Nangong Jiqing's defenses finally crumbled, leaving him vulnerable to the onslaught. With a triumphant cry, Elder Liang delivered the decisive blow, sending Nangong Jiqing crashing to the ground. As the crowd watched in suspense, Wang Jian, who had been watching the battle unfold from the stands, descended to the base of the arena with purpose in his stride. With a focused expression, he knelt down and pressed his palm against the ground, his consciousness reaching out to connect with the subtle array formation. In a matter of seconds, Wang Jian's keen mind began to manipulate the intricate web of energies woven into the array, subtly altering its function to serve his own purposes. With precision and skill, he reversed the flow of energy, redirecting it to target Elder Liang instead of Patriarch Jiqing, and at an accelerated rate. Meanwhile, Patriarch Jiqing felt a surge of pure divine energy coursing through his veins, invigorating him with newfound strength and determination. With a fierce resolve, he rose to his feet, his eyes blazing with determination as he prepared to launch his ultimate attack. Sensing the shift in the array's energy, Elder Liang's nerves tensed as he realized that he was no longer in control of the situation. His gaze locked onto Patriarch Jiqing, his mind racing to devise a counter-strategy in the face of this unexpected development. As Patriarch Jiqing unleashed his ultimate attack, a wave of celestial energy surged forth from his outstretched hand, coalescing into a radiant beam of light known as Celestial Judgment. The beam shimmered with divine power, its brilliance illuminating the arena as it hurtled towards Elder Liang with unstoppable force. In response, Elder Liang summoned forth his own ultimate attack, channeling the elemental energies of the earth into a devastating technique known as earthen annihilation. With a mighty roar, he unleashed a torrent of earth and stone, seeking to overwhelm Patriarch Jiqing and turn the tide of battle in his favor. However, as the two attacks clashed in a spectacular display of power, the effects of the reversed array took their toll on Elder Liang. With each passing moment, his energy dwindled, his ultimate attack weakening as the stolen divine energy sapped his strength. Despite his valiant efforts, Elder Liang found himself struggling to maintain his ground against Patriarch Jiqing's onslaught. With a heavy heart, he realized that victory was slipping from his grasp, his once formidable power waning in the face of his opponent's renewed vigor. As the battle raged on, the fate of the Nangong family hung in the balance, with the outcome of this clash of titans poised to determine the future of their lineage. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, the arena fell silent, save for the heavy breaths of the combatants. Elder Liang lay sprawled on the ground, defeated, while Patriarch Jiqing, though gravely injured, stood tall, his victory apparent to all who watched. Wang Jian, observing from the stands, couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction at the outcome. He knew that his intervention had turned the tide of the battle, securing victory for Patriarch Jiqing and thwarting Elder Liang's rebellion. Sending a subtle spiritual message to Patriarch Jiqing, Wang Jian couldn't resist a playful tone. "Looks like you owe me one for saving your skin back there," he joked, knowing full well the truth of his words. Patriarch Jiqing, acknowledging Wang Jian's contribution, nodded in silent agreement. He understood the debt he owed to the talented young cultivator and made a mental note to repay it in due time. With the battle won and the rebellion quelled, Patriarch Jiqing retreated to the safety of the Nangong family's palace to tend to his wounds and regroup. Meanwhile, Elder Liang and his followers were swiftly apprehended, their powers sealed to prevent further mischief. The threat they posed had been neutralized, thanks in no small part to Wang Jian's quick thinking and expertise in array formations. Returning to the stands, Wang Jian was greeted by the curious gazes of his companions, Shi Shi, Shui Shuiying, and Lin Xingya, who awaited an explanation for his actions. "What did you do out there?" Shi Shi asked, her curiosity piqued. Wang Jian grinned mischievously, relishing the opportunity to share his exploits. "Oh, just a little array manipulation," he replied nonchalantly, downplaying his role in the proceedings. Shui Shuiying raised an eyebrow in surprise. "You manipulated the array? But how?" Wang Jian chuckled, enjoying the attention. "Let's just say I have a knack for these things," he said cryptically, unwilling to reveal too much about his abilities. Lin Xingya, sensing his reluctance to divulge further, simply shook her head in amusement. "Well, whatever you did, it certainly turned the tables in Patriarch Jiqing's favor. I hope he compensates you well enough for that," she remarked, offering her gratitude to her skilled companion. With the threat of rebellion quashed and victory secured, the group settled in to enjoy the rest of the tournament, grateful for the bonds of friendship and camaraderie that had seen them through yet another challenge. Amidst the aftermath of the recent turmoil, Patriarch Jiqing made the difficult decision to bring the tournament to an early close. Aware of the disappointment this would bring to the participants, he resolved to compensate them generously for their troubles. Gathering the remaining competitors, now reduced to 28, Patriarch Jiqing addressed them with a solemn expression. "I know many of you were looking forward to the conclusion of the tournament," he began, his voice carrying the weight of his decision. "But in light of recent events, it's clear that the safety of our participants must take precedence." The participants murmured among themselves, some expressing their frustration at the unexpected turn of events. But they listened attentively as Patriarch Jiqing outlined the compensation they would receive. With a flourish, Patriarch Jiqing presented each participant with a scale from the ancient Crimson Dragon, a rare and coveted item known for its defensive properties. "These scales will serve to bolster your defenses, protecting you against future threats," he explained, his gaze sweeping over the assembled group. LL news tirais at N0V/LBI/.cm. Next, he distributed a bounty of Heavenly Thunder Blast Talismans, Heavenly Flame Blast Talismans, and other elemental talismans to each participant. Consider these talismans as tools to aid you in your future endeavors, he remarked, his tone encouraging. As murmurs of appreciation rippled through the crowd, Patriarch Jicheng continued to dole out rewards, including soul-enhancing pellets and enlightening tea leaves. May these rare treasures serve to strengthen both body and mind, he declared, his voice resonating with sincerity. Finally, he unveiled the last gift, custom-forged weapons tailored to each participant's unique style and abilities. These weapons are imbued with ancient power and craftsmanship, he announced, his eyes alight with pride. With them by your side, you will be well equipped to face any challenge that lies ahead. The participants erupted into cheers and applause, their gratitude evident as they inspected their newfound treasures. After the distribution ceremony concluded, Patriarch Jicheng summoned Wang Jian to accompany him to the Nangong family treasury. Wang Jian, intrigued by the invitation, followed Patriarch Jicheng with curiosity bubbling within him. As they entered the treasury, Patriarch Jicheng expressed his gratitude to Wang Jian for his crucial role in the victory against Elder Liang. Without your intervention, the outcome could have been very different, he admitted, his tone earnest. I owe you a debt of gratitude, and I wish to repay it by offering you any treasure from our family's vaults. Wang Jian's lips curved into a smile as he scanned the vast array of treasures. Despite the allure of wealth and power, he shook his head. Thank you, Patriarch Jicheng, but material possessions hold little value to me, he replied, his gaze steady. Instead, I seek a favor from you, a promise of assistance when I require it most. Patriarch Jicheng arched an eyebrow, intrigued yet puzzled by Wang Jian's request. Assistance? He echoed, his voice tinged with curiosity. What sort of assistance do you seek, Wang Jian? Wang Jian's smile widened as he produced a mysterious contract, his eyes gleaming with determination. This contract will bind you to aid me when the time comes, he explained, his tone firm. Consider it a gesture of trust and goodwill between us. Patriarch Jicheng regarded the contract with a mixture of suspicion and caution. You are bold to demand such a pledge from me, he remarked, his tone cool. Do you truly believe you can compel me to agree to your terms? Undeterred by Patriarch Jicheng's skepticism, Wang Jian maintained his composure. I seek only to ensure our mutual benefit, he countered, his voice steady. But if you refuse, I understand. However, know that I am not one to be trifled with. Patriarch Jicheng's eyes narrowed slightly as he contemplated Wang Jian's words. He could sense an underlying strength and resolve within the young cultivator, a force to be reckoned with. Your confidence borders on arrogance, Wang Jian, he observed, his tone measured. But be warned, if you overstep your bounds, you may find yourself facing dire consequences. Wang Jian met Patriarch Jicheng's gaze with unwavering determination. If you want, you can take action against me. But know that any chance of negotiation would be lost then, he declared, his voice ringing with conviction. Also remember, Patriarch Jicheng, that I am not without allies. Should you choose to challenge me, you may find yourself facing more than you bargained for. Patriarch Jicheng's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his features as he weighed his options. He could sense the intensity of Wang Jian's resolve, a force that surpassed anything he had encountered before. Very well, he conceded, his voice tinged with caution. I agree to your terms, Wang Jian. Wang Jian nodded in acknowledgement, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. With the contract sealed, Wang Jian and Patriarch Jicheng exchanged a meaningful glance, a silent understanding passing between them. After sealing the pact with Patriarch Jicheng, Wang Jian rejoined Shui Shuiying, Lin Xingya, and Shi Shi. Together, they decided to unwind at a cozy cafe and discuss their future plans. As they settled into their seats, Wang Jian broached the topic of Lin Fei's betrayal, his voice tinged with resolve. "We must find Lin Fei and put an end to his treachery," he declared, his gaze firm. "He has aligned himself with the demonic cultivators, and he poses a grave threat to us all." Lin Xingya's expression faltered at the mention of her brother's name, a pang of sadness gripping her heart. She knew that Wang Jian spoke the truth, but the thought of confronting her brother in whose family she had been adopted filled her with sorrow. Sensing her distress, Wang Jian reached out and gently squeezed her hand, offering silent reassurance. "I understand this is difficult for you, Xingya," he murmured, his tone gentle. "But we cannot afford to show mercy to those who have chosen the path of darkness." Lin Xingya nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. She knew that Wang Jian spoke sense, and she silently accepted his decision. Meanwhile, Shui Shuiying interjected with a proposal of her own, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Why don't you come with me to the Shui ancient family's domain?" she suggested, her voice laced with invitation. "We could spend some quality time together, away from the chaos of the world." Wang Jian smiled warmly at her offer but shook his head regretfully. "I appreciate the invitation, Shuiying, but I have other plans," he explained, his tone apologetic. "I intend to accompany Ji to the Heavenly Jade Pavilion." The unexpected announcement caught Lin Xingya and Shui Shuiying off guard, their eyebrows shooting up in surprise. They exchanged a knowing glance, silently acknowledging Wang Jian's depraved intentions. Ji, however, beamed with excitement at the prospect of Wang Jian's company. "I can't wait to show you around the Heavenly Lotus Pavilion and introduce you to my master," she enthused, her eyes alight with anticipation. "I'm certain she will be impressed by your talents." Wang Jian returned her enthusiasm with a nod of agreement, his gaze filled with anticipation. "I look forward to it, Ji," he replied, his tone genuine. "I'm eager to learn from your master and explore the wonders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion." As Wang Jian and Ji bid farewell to their friends and made their way to the teleportation portal, they couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement coursing through them. After all, their journey to the Heavenly Jade Pavilion promised adventure, discovery, and perhaps a few surprises along the way. The teleportation portal stood tall and imposing, crackling with mystical energy as it hummed with anticipation. Wang Jian couldn't help but marvel at the intricate array of runes etched into its surface, each symbol pulsating with power. "Ready for this, Ji?" Wang Jian grinned, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Ji nodded eagerly, her own excitement palpable. "Absolutely! I can't wait to show you around the Heavenly Jade Pavilion," she replied, her voice tinged with enthusiasm. "But first, let's get through this portal." With a shared glance, Wang Jian and Ji stepped forward, allowing the teleportation portal to envelop them in its shimmering embrace. In an instant, they were whisked away into the vast expanse of the cosmos, hurtling through space towards their destination. As they soared through the cosmos, Ji took the opportunity to regale Wang Jian with tales of her comrades and fellow junior sisters at the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. "So, Wang Jian, let me tell you about my fellow junior sisters at the Heavenly Jade Pavilion," she began, her voice animated. "They're all incredibly talented cultivators, and most importantly, they're all as beautiful as I am." Wang Jian couldn't help but chuckle at Ji's confident declaration, his lips quirking into a playful smile. "Is that so? I'll have to see it to believe it," he teased, his tone light. Ji rolled her eyes playfully, swatting his arm in mock indignation. "Oh, you'll see, all right." "They'll leave you speechless," she insisted, her enthusiasm infectious. As they soared through the vast expanse of space, Ji continued to regale Wang Jian with tales of her companions, painting vivid portraits of their personalities and talents. "And guess what, Wang Jian?" Ji exclaimed, her eyes shining with mischief. "You're going to be the second man ever to set foot in the Heavenly Jade Pavilion." Wang Jian raised an eyebrow in surprise, his interest piqued by Xi revelation. Oh. And who was the first? He inquired, his curiosity getting the better of him. Xi grinned mischievously, leaning in closer to whisper conspiratorially. His name is Chu Yang, she revealed, her voice barely above a whisper. And let me tell you, he caused quite a stir when he joined the pavilion. Read lat.stchers on n/v/l/b.i.cm. Intrigued, Wang Jian leaned in closer, eager to hear more about this mysterious figure. What's so special about Chu Yang? He asked, his curiosity burning bright. Xi's eyes sparkled with excitement as she launched into an explanation, her words tumbling out in a rush of enthusiasm. Well, for starters, he possesses something called the Heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians, she explained, her voice tinged with awe. Wang Jian's eyebrows shot up in surprise, his interest piqued by this revelation. Heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians? What are those? He queried, his curiosity getting the better of him. Xi grinned knowingly, relishing the opportunity to share her knowledge. They're a rare and ancient type of meridians, said to be possessed only by the founder of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion herself, she revealed, her voice tinged with reverence. Incredible, Wang Jian murmured, his mind racing with possibilities. So, Chu Yang's meridians are similar to those of the pavilion's founder. No wonder he caused such a stir. Xi nodded enthusiastically, her eyes shining with excitement. Exactly. When the pavilion mistress discovered Chu Yang's special meridians, she didn't hesitate to bring him into the fold, she explained, her voice filled with admiration. But breaking ancient rules of the pavilion wasn't easy, she continued, her tone turning serious. However, the pavilion mistress saw Chu Yang's talent as a sign of destiny, a chance to continue the founder's legacy. Wang Jian nodded thoughtfully, his mind buzzing with questions. I see. So, Chu Yang's talent is on par with the founder's, he mused, his curiosity getting the better of him. She nodded emphatically, her expression earnest. That's right. The pavilion mistress believes that Chu Yang is someone of the founder's bloodline, destined to carry on his legacy, she explained, her voice filled with conviction. As they journeyed through the cosmos towards the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation that swirled within him. Chu Yang's arrival certainly adds an intriguing twist to the pavilion's dynamics, he mused, his thoughts racing ahead to the encounters that awaited them. Before long, the Heavenly Jade Pavilion loomed into view, its majestic spires reaching towards the heavens with an ethereal grace. Wang Jian couldn't help but be awestruck by the sheer beauty of the pavilion, its intricate architecture bathed in the soft glow of celestial energy. As they descended towards the pavilion's entrance, Xi's excitement was palpable, her eyes shining with anticipation. We're here, Wang Jian. Welcome to the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, she exclaimed, her voice filled with pride. Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement coursing through him as he stepped onto the hallowed grounds of the pavilion, his senses alive with the energy of the place. This is it, he thought, his heart pounding with anticipation. As Xi and Wang Jian approached the border of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, they were greeted by a group of ethereal beauties, their veils billowing in the gentle breeze as they stood with an air of authority. These were the disciples of the pavilion's patrolling unit, each one radiating an aura of grace and power. Xi's smile widened as she recognized her fellow disciples, her eyes lighting up with warmth. "Ah, my dear sisters, how lovely to see you," she greeted, her voice filled with genuine affection. The beauties bowed respectfully to Xi, their movements fluid and graceful. "Senior sister Xi, it's an honor to see you," they chimed in unison, their voices melodic. But as their gaze shifted towards Wang Jian, a hint of wariness crept into their expressions. "Who is this man, senior sister Xi?" one of them asked, her voice tinged with suspicion. "Why have you brought him here?" Shi's smile faltered slightly at the question, but she quickly regained her composure. "This is Wang Jian, a friend whom I am accompanying to meet with our pavilion mistress," she explained, her tone calm yet resolute. The beauties exchanged wary glances, their doubts still lingering in the air. "But senior sister, bringing a man into the pavilion goes against our sex rules," another beauty pointed out, her tone firm. She nodded understandingly, her gaze steady. "I am aware of the rules, but I assure you, Wang Jian's presence is only temporary," she reassured them, her voice unwavering. However, the beauties remained unconvinced, their suspicion lingering like a stubborn fog. They continued to eye Wang Jian warily, their expressions guarded. Just as the tension threatened to escalate, a figure appeared atop a cloud, his presence commanding attention. It was Chu Yang, the man she had mentioned earlier, rushing towards them with urgency in his stride. Chu Yang's expression froze as his gaze landed on Shi and the handsome man beside her. A flicker of anger and jealousy crossed his features as he struggled to comprehend why Shi was flying alongside another man. Who is this man with Shi? Chu Yang's mind raced with questions, his heart pounding with a mix of emotions. Why is she bringing him here? As Chu Yang drew closer, his jealousy simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over. He had always considered Shi his personal woman, someone who belonged to him and him alone. The sight of her with another man ignited a firestorm of emotions within him, stirring up a whirlwind of anger and possessiveness. Suppressing his emotions, Chu Yang forced himself to maintain a composed facade as he approached Shi and Wang Jian. Shi, what brings you here?" he greeted, his tone carefully neutral despite the turmoil raging within him. Shi's smile brightened at the sight of Chu Yang, her voice warm with affection. "Chu Yang, how wonderful to see you. I'm here to meet with our pavilion mistress," she explained, her tone casual. Chu Yang's gaze flickered towards Wang Jian, his eyes narrowing imperceptibly as he took in the sight of the handsome man standing beside Shi. Who is this man, he wondered, his jealousy bubbling to the surface once more. Before he could voice his concerns, Shi continued, her voice tinged with excitement. "And this is Wang Jian, a friend who is accompanying me," she introduced, gesturing towards Wang Jian with a smile. Chu Yang's forced smile faltered at the introduction, his jealousy flaring up with renewed intensity. A friend, he thought, his mind reeling with disbelief. What is Shi playing at? Despite his inner turmoil, Chu Yang managed to maintain a facade of politeness as he addressed Wang Jian. "Nice to meet you, Wang Jian," he greeted, his voice strained with effort. Wang Jian nodded politely in response, his expression unreadable as he observed Chu Yang's reaction. This must be the man Shi mentioned earlier, he surmised, noting the tension in the air. As the trio stood in uneasy silence, the beauties of the patrolling unit exchanged knowing glances, sensing the underlying tension between the three of them. Chu Yang turned his gaze towards Shi, his eyes burning with accusation. Shi, why have you brought this man here?" he demanded, his voice tinged with frustration. "You know it goes against the core rules of our sect." Shi rolled her eyes at Chu Yang's question, a hint of exasperation creeping into her tone. "Oh, Chu Yang, always so quick to jump to conclusions," she chided, her voice laced with sarcasm. "I'm taking Wang Jian to meet with Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. It's as simple as that." Chu Yang's brow furrowed in disbelief as he processed Shi's words. "But why does he need to meet with the pavilion mistress?" he pressed, his tone skeptical. Shi's gaze softened as she met Chu Yang's eyes, her expression earnest. "Because Wang Jian possesses unique talents that I believe will impress pavilion mistress Cui Lan," she explained patiently. "I want her to see his potential and offer him support through our sex resources." Chu Yang remained rooted to the spot, his eyes narrowing with suspicion as he scrutinized Wang Jian. "I still don't trust him," he declared, his voice firm. Before you meet with the pavilion mistress, I want to test his combat skills. Shi's brow arched in frustration, a scowl forming on her lips. Chu Young, must you always be so stubborn? She snapped, her patience wearing thin. I've already vouched for Wang Jian. There's no need for unnecessary tests. Wang Jian placed a calming hand on Shi's shoulder, his touch gentle yet firm. It's all right, Shi, he reassured her, his voice soothing. If it will put Chu Yang's mind at ease, I'll indulge him in a brief demonstration of my skills. Shi's gaze softened as she looked up at Wang Jian, her frustration melting away in the face of his calm demeanor. She knew he was more than capable of handling whatever Chu Yang threw his way, but she couldn't help feeling irritated by Chu Yang's stubbornness. Unbeknownst to Shi, Chu Yang's insistence on testing Wang Jian stemmed from a deep-seated jealousy fueled by her close relationship with the newcomer. The thought of Shi growing close to another man ignited a fierce possessiveness within him, driving him to assert his dominance and protect what he perceived as his territory. As Chu Yang and Wang Jian prepared to face off, the tension in the air crackled with anticipation. The beauties of the patrolling unit watched with bated breath, their eyes darting between the two men as they awaited the outcome of the impending showdown. As the showdown between Chu Yang and Wang Jian unfolded, the air crackled with anticipation, each moment charged with the potential for explosive action. Chu Yang's eyes narrowed with determination as he unleashed a flurry of attacks, each strike imbued with deadly precision and power. Heavenly Whirlwind Fist, he called out, his fist cutting through the air with a whistling sound as it hurtled towards Wang Jian. Wang Jian's eyes narrowed in concentration as he anticipated Chu Yang's move, his body moving with fluid grace as he dodged the attack with ease. Interesting attack, he muttered under his breath, his movements effortless and precise. Shi watched with bated breath, her heart swelling with pride as Wang Jian effortlessly evaded Chu Yang's onslaught. That's it, Wang Jian. Show him what you're made of, she cheered, her voice filled with excitement. Chu Yang's frustration grew with each failed attack, his brow furrowing in annoyance as Wang Jian danced effortlessly out of harm's way. Sky-splitting palm, he roared, his palm slamming down with thunderous force as he attempted to catch Wang Jian off guard. But Wang Jian was one step ahead, his instincts honed to perfection as he sidestepped the attack with lightning-fast reflexes. Close, but still too slow, he quipped, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. Gravity crush! Chu Yang roared, unleashing a powerful burst of gravitational force aimed at Wang Jian. But Wang Jian was already several steps ahead, leaping effortlessly out of harm's way as the ground beneath him trembled with the force of Chu Yang's attack. The group of beauties who had initially been confident in Chu Yang's abilities, due to his possession of the heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians, watched in astonishment as Wang Jian continued to dodge with precision. They exchanged amazed glances, their admiration for Wang Jian growing with each passing moment. He's like a ghost, dodging every move with precision, one of the beauties marveled, her eyes wide with admiration. It's as though he can see into the future, anticipating Chu Yang's every move, another remarked, her voice filled with awe. As the battle raged on, Wang Jian's movements became more fluid and precise, his dodges bordering on the supernatural as he effortlessly evaded Chu Yang's relentless assault. It was as though he were dancing through a storm, his every step a testament to his mastery of the martial arts. Chu Yang's frustration reached its boiling point as Wang Jian continued to evade his attacks with infuriating ease. Heavenly Energy Blast, he snarled, summoning a surge of celestial energy to launch at Wang Jian with deadly force. But Wang Jian was already on the move, his body twisting and weaving through the air as he narrowly avoided the blast. Not today, Chu Yang, he taunted, his voice laced with amusement. Shi watched with a mixture of awe and amusement as Wang Jian effortlessly dodged Chu Yang's attacks, her smile widening with each graceful movement. He's incredible, she murmured to herself, her heart swelling with pride. As the battle drew to a close, Chu Yang's frustration was palpable, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he struggled to land a single blow on Wang Jian. Enough, he growled, his voice tinged with defeat. Wang Jian regarded Xu Yang with a calm expression, his demeanor unruffled despite the intensity of the battle. "Are you done?" he asked, his tone casual. Xu Yang's jaw clenched in frustration as he glared at Wang Jian, his pride wounded by his inability to best his opponent. "For now," he conceded grudgingly, his voice tight with frustration. With the battle over, Ji Shi approached Wang Jian with a proud smile, her eyes shining with admiration. "You were amazing out there," she exclaimed, her voice filled with genuine awe. Wang Jian grinned back at her, a sense of satisfaction coursing through him. "Just doing what I do best," he replied modestly, his gaze lingering on Xu Yang with a hint of amusement. Meanwhile, the group of beauties gathered around Wang Jian, their eyes shining with admiration as they showered him with praise. "You have a truly wonderful battle sense," one of them gushed, her voice filled with awe. "Thank you," Wang Jian replied graciously, his smile widening at the unexpected praise. "It was my pleasure to demonstrate my skills for you all." As the dust settled from the intense showdown between Wang Jian and Xu Yang, Ji Shi stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with pride as she prepared to sing the praises of her talented companion. "Wow, Wang Jian, that was incredible," she exclaimed, her voice filled with admiration. "But let me tell you all, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his talents." The group of patrolling beauties listened intently, their curiosity piqued by Ji Shi's words. They had witnessed Wang Jian's prowess in combat firsthand, but they were about to discover that his talents extended far beyond the realm of martial arts. "Wang Jian isn't just a master of combat," Ji Shi continued, her voice brimming with excitement. "He's also a genius when it comes to array formations. He can manipulate them with ease and even take control of someone else's formations." But Ji Shi wasn't finished yet. "And that's not all," she added, her smile widening. "Wang Jian is also quite skilled in alchemy. He has a knack for mixing ingredients and crafting potions with incredible precision." The beauties exchanged incredulous glances, their eyebrows shooting up in surprise at Ji Shi's revelation. Array formations and alchemy were no simple feats, they required intricate knowledge and skill beyond the reach of most cultivators. If Ji Shi was praising Wang Jian's abilities in these areas, it meant his talent was truly extraordinary. "Array formations and alchemy," one of the beauties echoed, her voice tinged with disbelief. "But those are highly complex disciplines. How can Wang Jian be proficient in both?" Ji Shi nodded emphatically, a proud smile gracing her lips. "Believe me, it's true," she assured them. "Wang Jian's talents know no bounds. He's a true prodigy." Meanwhile, Xu Yang's gaze remained fixed on Wang Jian, his expression darkening with a sense of fury. "Array formations and alchemy," he seethed inwardly. "If Wang Jian's talents truly extend to those areas, he poses an even greater threat than I imagined." But then, a sense of determination settled over Xu Yang as he reminded himself of Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's authority. Even if Wang Jian is skilled in combat, there's no way the Pavilion Mistress will allow him to remain in our territory, he reasoned. "Once she sends him away, I'll seize the opportunity to request a mission with Ji Shi." A devious smirk curled at the corners of Xu Yang's lips as he plotted his next move. "On this mission, I'll do everything in my power to cultivate romantic feelings between Ji Shi and myself," he resolved. "It's the perfect plan. LL new estirise at n0v/lbi/.cm." As Ji Shi continued to extol Wang Jian's talents, the group of beauties listened with rapt attention, their admiration for him growing with each passing moment. It was clear to them now that Wang Jian was no ordinary cultivator, he was a force to be reckoned with. "Wow, Wang Jian truly is something else," one of the beauties marveled, her eyes shining with awe. Meanwhile, Wang Jian remained humble in the face of the praise, his gaze shifting to Ji Shi with gratitude. "Thank you for your kind words, Ji Shi," he said sincerely, his voice filled with appreciation. She smiled back at him, her heart swelling with pride. "You've earned every bit of praise, Wang Jian," she replied, her voice filled with warmth. As Chu Yang, Ji Shi, and the group of beauties approached Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's planet, excitement buzzed in the air. The planet, nestled within a cluster of stars belonging to the heavenly Jade Pavilion, shimmered with an otherworldly beauty. As they neared the invisible array barrier surrounding the planet, Chu Yang, Ji Shi, and the other beauties passed through effortlessly, their status as disciples of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan granting them access. But Wang Jian, being an unknown entity, found himself barred from entry by the formidable barrier. Ji Shi's brow furrowed with concern as she realized Wang Jian's predicament. "You stay here, Wang Jian," she instructed, her voice tinged with worry. "I'll go speak to my master and see if I can get you inside." But Wang Jian simply smiled in response, his eyes twinkling with determination. "Don't trouble yourself, Ji Shi," he replied calmly. "I'll handle this." With a sense of curiosity and apprehension, Ji Shi and the other beauties watched as Wang Jian approached the invisible barrier, his movements deliberate and confident. They knew firsthand the strength of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's array formations, and attempting to manipulate them was no small feat. Ji Shi's heart pounded with anxiety as she watched Wang Jian's bold attempt. "Be careful, Wang Jian," she murmured under her breath, her fingers clenched into fists at her sides. Meanwhile, Chu Yang's excitement bubbled over as he witnessed Wang Jian's audacious move. "This is it," he thought eagerly, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "He is really courting death right now." Chu Yang's anticipation reached a fever pitch as he imagined the devastating consequences of Wang Jian's actions. He had seen firsthand the deadly results of going against Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's array formations, and he relished the prospect of witnessing Wang Jian's downfall. But to Chu Yang's dismay, Wang Jian's efforts yielded unexpected results. Instead of facing instant obliteration, Wang Jian's manipulation of the array formations seemed to be working. The invisible barrier wavered and shimmered, its once impenetrable surface fluctuating under Wang Jian's skilled touch. Ji Shi's eyes widened in disbelief as she watched the barrier begin to falter, her breath catching in her throat. "He's actually doing it," she whispered in awe, her heart racing with excitement. The other beauties of the heavenly Jade Pavilion exchanged stunned glances, their admiration for Wang Jian growing with each passing moment. They had expected him to fail in the face of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's formidable defenses, but here he was, defying all expectations with his incredible skill. As the barrier continued to weaken under Wang Jian's manipulation, Chu Yang's frustration mounted with each passing moment. "This can't be happening," he thought incredulously, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. How is Wang Jian managing to manipulate the array formations? But no matter how much Chu Yang willed for Wang Jian's failure, the invisible barrier continued to waver and shift, its once solid surface now trembling under Wang Jian's mastery. And then, in a dazzling display of skill and determination, the barrier finally gave way, parting before Wang Jian like a curtain drawn aside. Ji Shi gasped in awe as she watched Wang Jian step through the now open portal, his smile radiant with triumph. "He did it," she breathed, her eyes shining with pride. "Wang Jian actually did it." The other beauties nodded in agreement, their admiration for Wang Jian reaching new heights. They had witnessed firsthand the extent of his talent and determination, and they couldn't help but feel a sense of awe in his presence. As Wang Jian stood among the group of beauties on Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's planet, a sense of accomplishment swelled within him. He had successfully manipulated the formidable array formation barrier set up by Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan herself, a feat that would leave even the most seasoned cultivators in awe. As he basked in the admiration of the beauties around him, their eyes filled with awe and curiosity, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. He had revealed a glimpse of his true capabilities, showcasing his mastery over array formations. The beauties, their faces aglow with admiration, turned to Shi with teasing smiles, eager to learn more about the mysterious cultivator who had managed to breach Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's defenses. "So, Shi, care to tell us where you found this talented young man?" one of the beauties quipped, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Shi, caught off guard by their playful teasing, chuckled nervously as she struggled to find the right words. She knew she couldn't keep Wang Jian's involvement in her past a secret any longer. "Well, you see," she began hesitantly, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I met Wang Jian when I and my fellow junior sisters went on a mission to the earthly dragon star." The other beauties gasped in surprise, their curiosity piqued as they leaned in to listen to Shi's tale. Shi took a deep breath, her mind drifting back to that fateful encounter with the flood dragon on the earthly dragon star. She recounted the harrowing events of that day, describing how Wang Jian had swooped in to rescue her and her junior sisters from certain doom. "And that's how I met Wang Jian," she concluded, her voice tinged with gratitude. "He saved us from the clutches of the flood dragon and showed us what true heroism looks like." The other beauties listened in rapt attention, their admiration for Wang Jian growing with each passing moment. They couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at his bravery and skill, knowing now that he had faced down such formidable foes and emerged victorious. Get the latest chapters on n/velbin.com. But just as the atmosphere began to settle, a sudden burst of energy erupted from the surface of the planet, sending shockwaves through the air. Chu Ying's eyes widened in alarm as he recognized the unmistakable aura of Pavilion Mistress Chuilan. "She's coming," he whispered urgently, his voice tinged with apprehension. Shi's heart pounded in her chest as she glanced at Wang Jian, her eyes wide with worry. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. But to her surprise, Wang Jian remained calm and composed, his expression unwavering. "Don't worry," he reassured her, his voice steady. "Trust me." As the tension mounted, the burst of energy from the surface of the planet grew closer, hurtling towards them with alarming speed. Shi and the others braced themselves for what was to come, their hearts racing with anticipation. And then, in a dazzling display of power, Pavilion Mistress Chuilan appeared before them, her presence filling the air with an undeniable sense of authority. She regarded them with a cool, assessing gaze, her eyes lingering on Wang Jian with keen interest. Shi's breath caught in her throat as she awaited Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's judgment. She knew they had trespassed upon her territory, and she could only hope that Pavilion Mistress Chuilan would show them mercy. But to her astonishment, Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's expression softened as she regarded Wang Jian. "You," she said, her voice echoing with reverence. "You are the one who breached my array formations." Wang Jian nodded respectfully, his gaze meeting hers without fear. "Yes, Pavilion Mistress," he replied, his voice calm and measured. "I apologize for any inconvenience my actions may have caused." Shi, feeling a surge of guilt, stepped forward, eager to take responsibility for her actions. "Master," she began, her voice tinged with apprehension. "I must confess, I was the one who brought Wang Jian here. I wanted him to meet you, but I failed to warn him about the barrier." Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's gaze turned sharp as she fixed her stern gaze on Shi. "You will be dealt with later for your indiscretion," she admonished firmly. Then, her attention returned to Wang Jian, her curiosity piqued. "Now, young man, tell me, what treasure did you use to breach my barrier?" Wang Jian met Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's gaze unwaveringly, his expression calm and collected. "No treasure, Pavilion Mistress," he replied honestly. "I simply utilized my knowledge of array formations and the energies at my disposal to manipulate the barrier." Pavilion Mistress Chuilan's eyebrows lifted in surprise at Wang Jian's response. "Impressive," she remarked, a hint of admiration coloring her tone. "It takes great skill and mastery to achieve what you have done." Shi's heart swelled with pride at Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's acknowledgement of Wang Jian's abilities. She had known from the moment she met him that Wang Jian was no ordinary cultivator, but seeing Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's reaction only confirmed her belief. Meanwhile, Chu Yang watched the exchange with a mixture of fascination and envy. He had always prided himself on his own abilities, but seeing Wang Jian effortlessly command Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's respect filled him with a sense of inadequacy. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's piercing gaze fell upon Wang Jian as she inquired, "Why did you come here?" Wang Jian's response was delivered with casual confidence, his demeanor unruffled. "I came here to discuss and exchange insights on the laws of array formations with you and exchange my insights on the laws of alchemy with the third elder of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion." The coldness in Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's tone was palpable as she cautioned, "Discussing the laws of array formations and alchemy? You seem to be biting off more than you can chew, young man. Such arrogance at your age is unbecoming." But Wang Jian remained unperturbed, his composure unwavering. "It all depends on my capability," he countered calmly. "If I can prove my ability, then it's confidence. If not, then it's arrogance. Perhaps you should test me before passing judgment, Pavilion Mistress." Despite the tension hanging in the air, Wang Jian's steady gaze never wavered as he awaited Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's response. He was prepared to face whatever judgment she deemed fit, his confidence unwavering. After a thoughtful pause, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan finally relented, her tone carrying a note of finality. "Very well," she conceded. "You have proven yourself to be a worthy individual, Wang Jian. You may remain within the boundaries of my star cluster for the time being." Shi's eyes widened in astonishment at Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's unexpected leniency. She had anticipated harsh punishment for their trespass, but Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's decision left her pleasantly surprised. Then, as Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan turned her attention to Shi and Chu Yang, she issued her final command. "Take Wang Jian to the guest chamber and let him rest," she instructed, her tone firm. With Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's directive given, Shi and Chu Yang sprang into action, leading Wang Jian towards the guest chamber. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was an undeniable sense of relief in the air as they made their way through the hallowed halls of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. As they reached the guest chamber, Shi turned to Wang Jian with a grateful smile. "You handled that situation with remarkable poise," she remarked, her admiration evident in her voice. Wang Jian returned her smile with a nod of appreciation. "Thank you," he replied graciously. "It was a test of diplomacy, but I'm glad it ended well." After being led to his residence on the planet of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, Wang Jian wasted no time in exploring his surroundings. Shi accompanied him with bubbling enthusiasm, eager to show off the wonders of their sex star cluster. On the other hand, Chu Yang begrudgingly followed along, his expression clouded with jealousy and annoyance. He couldn't shake off the nagging worry that leaving Wang Jian and Shi alone might lead to something intimate between them. As they wandered the vibrant streets of the planet, Shi pointed out various landmarks and attractions, her excitement palpable. "Isn't this place incredible, Wang Jian?" she exclaimed, gesturing at the bustling marketplaces and ornate temples that dotted the landscape. Wang Jian nodded in agreement, taking in the sights with quiet admiration. "It's truly remarkable," he replied, a hint of awe in his voice. Chu Yang, trailing behind them with a scowl, muttered under his breath, "Remarkable or not, I don't see why we have to babysit him around." Ignoring Chu Yang's sour mood, Shi continued to chatter animatedly, regaling Wang Jian with stories of their sex history and traditions. Wang Jian listened attentively, absorbing every detail with genuine interest. After half a day of exploration, they finally arrived at an open hall where Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan awaited them. Wang Jian took his seat ahead of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, his posture relaxed yet attentive. As the discussion on the laws of array formations commenced, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan wasted no time in posing a question that tested the limits of even the most seasoned cultivators. Wang Jian, she began, her tone measured and challenging. Imagine you were faced with the task of synchronizing 3 highly intricate arrays, each with its own unique energy patterns and frequencies. How would you reconcile their conflicting harmonics to achieve perfect synchronization? Wang Jian's brows furrowed slightly as he considered the complex scenario presented to him. However, he didn't falter. With unwavering confidence, he began to dissect the intricacies of the problem, his mind racing to formulate a solution that would satisfy Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's exacting standards. His response was met with a thoughtful nod from Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, impressed by his insightful approach. But she wasn't finished yet. And what if, she continued, her voice taking on an even more challenging edge, you were tasked with designing an array formation capable of withstanding an onslaught of divine lightning, each bolt striking with varying frequencies and intensities? How would you ensure the array's stability under such extreme conditions? Wang Jian's eyes narrowed in concentration as he grappled with the daunting challenge presented to him. He knew that the key lay in harnessing the fundamental principles of array formations and channeling them into a cohesive defensive structure. With practiced precision, he began to outline his strategy, weaving together a tapestry of spatial manipulation and energy redirection to create a shield capable of repelling even the most ferocious divine lightning. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan listened intently, her expression betraying no hint of emotion as she absorbed Wang Jian's analysis. It was a profound inquiry, one that delved deep into the very essence of array formation theory. Yet, Wang Jian approached it with the same calm confidence that had defined his previous responses. After a moment of silence, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan began to offer her insights, her words measured and precise. But before she could finish, Wang Jian interjected with a question of his own, one that had been gnawing at him for some time. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Pavilion Mistress, he began, his voice steady, what are your thoughts on the utilization of dimensional entanglement within array formations to create interlocking defensive barriers capable of repelling multidimensional attacks? Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's eyes widened slightly in surprise at the complexity of Wang Jian's inquiry. It was a topic that few dared to explore, delving into the very fabric of spatial manipulation and dimensional manipulation. Yet, Wang Jian approached it with a confidence that belied his years. As the exchange continued, question after question, Wang Jian and Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan delved deeper into the mysteries of array formations. With each passing query, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan grew more impressed by Wang Jian's profound understanding and innovative thinking. It became evident that Wang Jian's insights surpassed those of even the most seasoned practitioners, earning him the respect and admiration of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan. As the discussion drew to a close, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan regarded Wang Jian with newfound respect. You possess a rare gift, Wang Jian, she remarked, her voice tinged with admiration. Your insights into the laws of array formations are truly extraordinary. Wang Jian accepted her praise with humility, a modest smile gracing his lips. Thank you, Pavilion Mistress, he replied graciously. It has been an honor to engage in this discussion with you. After the intense discussion on array formations concluded, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan turned her gaze towards her personal disciple, Shi, with a proud smile. Shi, she said, her voice filled with admiration, you have brought a remarkable talent to our doorstep. Wang Jian's insights into the laws of array formations are on par with my own, and in some aspects, he even surpasses me. She beamed with pride at the praise from her esteemed master. Thank you, Pavilion Mistress, she replied, her voice tinged with excitement. I knew Wang Jian possessed exceptional talent, but to hear you praise him in such a manner, it's truly an honor. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan then turned her attention back to Wang Jian, her expression thoughtful. Wang Jian, she began, her voice carrying a note of seriousness, I have a proposition for you. Would you consider becoming an elder of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion and overseeing the Department of Array Formations? Your expertise would be invaluable in teaching our disciples and advancing our knowledge in this field. Wang Jian's eyes widened in surprise at the unexpected offer. Becoming an elder of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion was a position of great honor and responsibility, one that he had never imagined he would be offered. He bowed respectfully to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan before speaking. "Pavilion Mistress, I am deeply honored by your offer. I will consider it carefully and give you my answer soon." However, before Wang Jian could respond further, Chu Yang stepped forward, his expression tense with anger. "Pavilion Mistress," he interjected, his voice laced with frustration, "with all due respect, you cannot simply ignore the rules of our sect. Wang Jian is a man, and men are not permitted to join the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. No exception, not even for you." Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's brows furrowed at Chu Yang's outburst. She was well aware of the rules of the sect, but she couldn't ignore the extraordinary talent that Wang Jian possessed. "Chu Yang," she replied sternly, "I am fully aware of the rules. However, I believe that Wang Jian's talents are too valuable to be dismissed based on outdated traditions." Chu Yang crossed his arms over his chest, his expression defiant. "But Pavilion Mistress, if you make an exception for Wang Jian, what about the precedent it sets? What about the other disciples who have followed the rules all their lives? Will their efforts be in vain?" Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan sighed inwardly, frustrated by Chu Yang's stubbornness. She understood his concerns, but she couldn't let Wang Jian slip through their fingers. "Chu Yang," she said firmly, "the Heavenly Jade Pavilion has already made exceptions in the past. You yourself are an exception, given your possession of the Heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians." Chu Yang's expression softened slightly at the mention of his own exception. He knew that he owed his position in the sect to the unique meridians he possessed, which were said to be a mark of the founder's bloodline. However, he couldn't help but feel uneasy about making another exception for Wang Jian. "But Pavilion Mistress," Chu Yang persisted, "we cannot simply disregard the rules whenever it suits us. If you wish to accept Wang Jian into the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, then it should be put to a vote of all the elders. Only if 2/3 of the elders agree should he be allowed to stay." Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan nodded thoughtfully at Chu Yang's suggestion. It was a fair compromise, one that would allow the elders to weigh in on the matter. "Very well," she agreed, "I will convene a meeting of the elders to discuss this matter further. In the meantime, Wang Jian will be granted temporary residence within the sect." Wang Jian stared at Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan gratefully. "Thank you, Pavilion Mistress," he said sincerely, "I am truly honored by your consideration." Wang Jian became serious with a determined gleam in his eyes as he addressed Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. "Pavilion Mistress," he began, his voice steady, "I have one more request, if I may." Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan regarded him with curiosity, gesturing for him to continue. "I would like to request an audience with the third elder," Wang Jian continued, "to discuss the profound laws of alchemy. I believe her insights would be invaluable in furthering my understanding of this field." Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan considered his request for a moment before nodding in agreement. "Very well, Wang Jian," she replied, "I will arrange for you to meet with the third elder at your earliest convenience." With Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's permission granted, Wang Jian turned to Shi and Chu Yang, a smile playing on his lips. "Well, it seems I have quite a busy schedule ahead of me," he remarked, a hint of excitement in his voice. Shi beamed at Wang Jian's enthusiasm, her eyes sparkling with pride. "I have no doubt that you will impress the third elder with your insights," she said, her voice filled with admiration. Chu Yang, however, remained silent, his expression unreadable. Deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered within him. Despite his reservations, he couldn't deny the undeniable talent that Wang Jian possessed. A few days later, the third elder of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion arrived at Wang Jian's residence, her graceful presence commanding attention. Wang Jian greeted her respectfully, eager to engage in their discussion on alchemy. "Welcome, third elder," Wang Jian said with a warm smile. "I am honored by your visit." The third elder returned the greeting with a nod, her expression guarded as she took her seat across from Wang Jian. "Let us not waste time," she said briskly. "Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan speaks highly of your alchemical talents. I am curious to see if you can live up to her praise." Wang Jian's smile remained unwavering. "I am ready to demonstrate my abilities," he replied confidently. "Please, ask your question." The third elder wasted no time. "Very well," she began, her tone challenging. "Tell me, Wang Jian, how would you go about synthesizing a pill of eternal flame, a rare and potent elixir known for its ability to enhance spiritual cultivation?" Wang Jian's brow furrowed in concentration as he considered the question. It was indeed a difficult task, one that required a deep understanding of alchemical principles. After a moment of thought, he began to outline his approach. "To synthesize a pill of eternal flame," Wang Jian began, his voice steady, "one must first gather the rare ingredients necessary for its creation. These include phoenix feathers, fire lotus petals, and essence of the sunstone. These ingredients must be carefully purified and refined to extract their potent essence." The third elder listened intently, her skepticism evident in her expression. "And then what?" she prompted, her eyes narrowing. "Once the ingredients have been prepared," Wang Jian continued, "they must be combined in a precise sequence and subjected to intense heat in a specialized alchemical furnace. This process requires precise control of temperature and pressure to ensure the formation of the pill of eternal flame." The third elder nodded thoughtfully, impressed by Wang Jian's knowledge. "Very well," she conceded. "But what about the purification process? How would you ensure the removal of impurities from the ingredients?" Wang Jian's smile widened slightly at the challenge. "Ah, purification is indeed a crucial step," he replied. "To remove impurities from the ingredients, one must employ a combination of spiritual purification techniques and alchemical distillation. This ensures that only the purest essence remains, enhancing the efficacy of the final product." The third elder's expression softened slightly, a hint of respect in her gaze. "You speak with confidence, Wang Jian," she acknowledged. "But let us see if you can answer my next question." With that, the third elder posed another challenging inquiry, this time delving into the intricacies of alchemical transmutation. Wang Jian listened intently, his mind racing as he formulated his response. And so, the exchange continued, question after question, as Wang Jian and the third elder engaged in a battle of wits and knowledge. As the discussion between Wang Jian and the third elder continued, the atmosphere remained charged with intellectual curiosity and anticipation. It was Wang Jian's turn to pose a question, and he did so with a gleam of challenge in his eyes. "Third elder," Wang Jian began, his voice measured, "imagine a scenario where you are tasked with refining a pill of celestial harmony, a rare elixir said to harmonize the body's spiritual energies and enhance cultivation. How would you approach the refinement process to ensure the pill's efficacy?" The third elder's brows furrowed in concentration as she pondered Wang Jian's question. It was indeed a complex scenario, one that required careful consideration of alchemical principles. "To refine a pill of celestial harmony," the third elder began, her tone thoughtful, "one must first select the appropriate ingredients, such as starlight orchids, lunar dew, and essence of the void. These ingredients must be meticulously prepared and combined in a precise ratio to achieve the desired effects." Wang Jian listened attentively, nodding in acknowledgement of the third elder's response. However, he sensed that there was more to the refinement process than what she had described. "And then what?" Wang Jian prompted, his gaze steady. How would you ensure that the spiritual energies within the pill are properly balanced and harmonized? The third elder hesitated for a moment, her expression thoughtful. Well, she began, her tone uncertain. One would need to infuse the ingredients with spiritual energy during the refinement process, using techniques such as elemental fusion and essence convergence to achieve balance. Wang Jian nodded, acknowledging the third elder's attempt to answer his question. However, he detected a flaw in her explanation, one that he couldn't ignore. Actually, Wang Jian interjected gently, while infusing the ingredients with spiritual energy is indeed important, achieving balance and harmony within the pill requires more than just elemental fusion and essence convergence. One must also utilize techniques such as soul alignment and celestial attunement to ensure that the spiritual energies interact harmoniously. The third elder's eyes widened in realization as she absorbed Wang Jian's correction. I see, she murmured, her expression reflecting a mixture of surprise and admiration. You are correct, Wang Jian. I had overlooked the importance of those techniques in achieving true harmony within the pill. Wang Jian smiled modestly, his confidence unwavering. It is all a matter of understanding the underlying principles, he replied. With that, the discussion between Wang Jian and the third elder continued, each exchange serving to deepen their mutual respect and admiration for one another's knowledge and skill. And as the sun set on the horizon, they remained engrossed in their conversation, their voices blending harmoniously amidst the tranquil surroundings of the heavenly jade pavilion. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the tranquil surroundings of the heavenly jade pavilion, the discussion between Wang Jian and the third elder drew to a close. The third elder regarded Wang Jian with newfound respect, her admiration evident in her gaze. You have truly impressed me, Wang Jian, the third elder remarked, her voice tinged with admiration. Your insights into the laws of alchemy are truly exceptional. Wang Jian accepted the praise with a modest smile, his demeanor humble despite the accolades. Thank you, third elder, he replied graciously. It has been an honor to engage in this discussion with you. Most up-to-date novels are published on n0velgen.co/m. The third elder's expression softened, her gaze lingering on Wang Jian with a hint of mischief. You know, she whispered conspiratorially, leaning closer to him, if you were to come to my alchemy tower, you would find many eager students eager to learn from a talented alchemist like yourself. And perhaps, she added with a playful smile, you might even find some other incentives to stay. Wang Jian's smile faltered slightly as he considered the third elder's offer. Teaching at the Alchemy Tower would certainly be an opportunity to broaden his horizons and deepen his understanding of alchemical principles. However, he knew that his presence in the Heavenly Jade Pavilion was only temporary, and he couldn't make any long-term commitments without the approval of the elders. I appreciate your invitation, third elder, Wang Jian replied diplomatically. However, I must inform you that my stay here in the Heavenly Jade Pavilion is only temporary. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan has graciously allowed me to reside within the boundaries of the sect for the time being, but I cannot make any permanent arrangements without the approval of the elders. The third elder's expression softened with understanding as she listened to Wang Jian's explanation. She could sense the sincerity in his words and respected his adherence to the rules of the sect. I understand, she replied, her tone sympathetic. But rest assured, Wang Jian, I will do everything in my power to ensure that you are able to stay here permanently. I will gather support from my faction and work closely with Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan to sway the opinions of the elders. With our combined efforts, I am confident that we can achieve the two-thirds majority needed to make an exception for you. Wang Jian's forced smile returned as he listened to the third elder's reassurances. He appreciated her efforts on his behalf but couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that lingered in the back of his mind. Thank you, third elder, Wang Jian replied, his voice tinged with gratitude. I am grateful for your support, and I will await further developments with anticipation. With that, the conversation between Wang Jian and the third elder drew to a close, and they parted ways with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Amidst the twinkling stars of the heavenly jade pavilion's starry expanse, the elders of the sect gathered for a momentous meeting convened by the third elder and pavilion mistress Cui Lan. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as the elders took their seats, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and intrigue. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan stood at the forefront, her presence commanding the attention of all those present. "Esteemed elders," she began, her voice carrying the weight of authority, "we have convened here today to discuss a matter of great importance." The third elder stepped forward, her gaze sweeping over the assembled elders. "As you are all aware," she continued, "we have been presented with a unique opportunity to welcome a new member into our ranks. This individual possesses unparalleled talent in the arts of array formations and alchemy." A murmur of interest rippled through the assembly as the elders exchanged curious glances, eager to learn more about the mysterious newcomer. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan nodded in agreement. "Indeed," she affirmed. "The individual in question, Wang Jian, has demonstrated exceptional skill and insight in both disciplines. His presence would undoubtedly enrich our sect and elevate our standing among the celestial realms." The third elder chimed in, her voice resolute. "We believe that Wang Jian's talent is such that he warrants an exception to our rules regarding the admission of men into our sect. Allowing him to join us would be a boon to our sect's future." With the stage set, the elders were given the opportunity to voice their opinions and cast their votes. One by one, they expressed their support for Wang Jian's inclusion, citing his extraordinary abilities and the potential benefits he would bring to the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. And when the final tally was taken, the results were nothing short of astonishing. Out of the 80 elders present, a staggering 70 voted in favor of admitting Wang Jian into the sect, a near-unanimous majority that spoke volumes of his exceptional talent and the widespread support he had garnered. Meanwhile, amidst the bustling activity of the Elders' Council, Wang Jian sought out Ji, eager to share the news of the meeting's outcome. As they met, Ji-Shi's eyes sparkled with excitement, her smile radiant with joy. "Wang Jian," she exclaimed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "I heard the news. You've been approved to join the sect." Wang Jian returned her smile, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. "Yes, it seems the elders have been quite generous in their support," he replied modestly. "I owe a great deal to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan and the third elder for their advocacy." She nodded eagerly, her excitement palpable. "Indeed, it's a remarkable achievement," she agreed. "I'm thrilled to have you officially join us in the Heavenly Jade Pavilion." As they conversed, Ji-Shi's expression grew thoughtful, a hint of concern flickering in her eyes. "By the way, Wang Jian," she began tentatively, "I heard that Chu Yang has left the starry expanse. He mentioned something about gathering heavenly resources to enhance his abilities." Wang Jian's brow furrowed slightly at the mention of Chu Yang's departure. "I see," he murmured, his thoughts turning inward. "It seems he is determined to pursue his own path." She nodded in agreement, her gaze lingering on Wang Jian with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Just be careful, Wang Jian," she urged softly. "Chu Yang's ambitions are lofty, and he won't hesitate to do whatever it takes to achieve them." Wang Jian offered her a reassuring smile, his resolve unwavering. "Thank you, Ji-Shi," he said sincerely. "I'll keep that in mind. But for now, let's focus on the future and the opportunities that lie ahead." As Wang Jian mentioned looking forward to the opportunities ahead, Ji-Shi's expression turned slightly puzzled, her brows furrowing in confusion. "Opportunities?" she echoed, her tone laced with uncertainty. "What do you mean by that?" Wang Jian's lips curled into a mischievous smile at her puzzled expression. Without a word, he closed the distance between them, his arms encircling her waist as he pulled her into a tender embrace. Leaning in, he captured her lips in a passionate kiss, his desire evident in the fervor of his touch. As their lips parted, Wang Jian's voice was a low whisper against her ear, filled with playful mischief. "I mean the opportunity to explore," he murmured, his breath hot against her skin. "To indulge in desires we've kept hidden for far too long." Xishi's cheeks flushed crimson at his words, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She shook her head in disbelief, unable to fully comprehend the audacity of his suggestion. "Wang Jian," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "You can't be serious." But as she looked up into his eyes, she saw the intensity of his gaze, the sincerity in his expression. There was no mistaking his intent, no doubting the hunger in his eyes. And in that moment, she understood that he was indeed serious. Wang Jian's lips curved into a soft smile as he spoke, his voice gentle yet determined. "Xishi," he said softly, his gaze unwavering. "I want you. I've wanted you from the moment I laid eyes on you. And now, I want to make love to you." Xishi's breath caught in her throat at his bold declaration, her pulse quickening with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. She knew that what he was suggesting was risky, forbidden even, but the allure of his touch, the fire in his eyes, was too tempting to resist. With a shy nod, she acquiesced to his desires, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she allowed him to lead her to his chamber. As they entered the room, her heart pounded with anticipation, her body trembling with nervous excitement. Wang Jian gently lowered her onto the plush bed, his touch sending shivers of pleasure coursing through her veins. With tender caresses, he began to undress her, his fingers tracing the curves of her body with gentle reverence. As their bodies entwined, a symphony of passion and desire filled the air, their hearts beating as one in the throes of ecstasy. With each touch, each kiss, they lost themselves in the intoxicating bliss of their union, their souls merging in a dance of love and longing. And as the morning stretched on, their passion burned bright, igniting a flame that would never be extinguished. As the evening sun cast its warm glow upon the room, Wang Jian lay beside Xishi, her seductive form nestled in the crook of his muscular arms. The air was filled with a sense of contentment, their bodies still tingling from the passionate embrace they had shared throughout the day. Xishi gazed up at Wang Jian with a playful glint in her eyes, her lips curved into a teasing smile. "So," she began, her voice laced with curiosity. "Have you ever been with Lin Xingya and Shui Shuiying?" Wang Jian's expression remained calm and composed, his gaze meeting hers with unwavering confidence. He knew that this question was inevitable, and he was prepared to handle it with finesse. With a soft chuckle, he nodded in affirmation. "Yes," he admitted quietly. "I have been with them." Xishi's smile faltered slightly at his admission, a hint of sadness flickering in her eyes. She had expected as much, but hearing the truth still stung. However, before she could dwell on her emotions, Wang Jian's next words caught her off guard. "But," he added, his voice low and intimate, "the experience with you, Xishi, is incomparable. It feels different, special." Xishi's heart skipped a beat at his words, her cheeks flushing with warmth at his praise. She knew that Wang Jian's words might be a bit of a flattery, but she couldn't help but feel a surge of happiness at his declaration. Despite the lingering doubts in her mind, she couldn't deny the sweetness of his words. With a soft sigh, she snuggled closer to him, her body molded against his in perfect harmony. "You know how to charm a woman, Wang Jian," she teased, a playful glint dancing in her eyes. "But I won't let you off that easily." Wang Jian chuckled softly, his arms tightening around her in a protective embrace. "I wouldn't have it any other way," he replied, his voice filled with warmth and affection. "I'm here for you, Ji-shi, now and always." As the evening unfolded into a tranquil embrace, Wang Jian lay beside Ji-shi, his mind abuzz with thoughts of their passionate morning together. His body still tingled with the remnants of their intimacy, but amidst the lingering sensations, a mischievous idea began to take shape in his mind. She is just the beginning, he mused to himself, a devious smirk playing at the corners of his lips. There are plenty of other influential members of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion to charm. With a sly grin, he imagined the thrill of seducing the other core disciples, each one falling under his spell one by one. It was a risky game, but Wang Jian was confident in his abilities to navigate the delicate web of relationships within the sect. Of course, I'll have to be subtle, he thought, his mind already formulating a plan of action. I can't afford to draw too much attention to myself, especially not from the elders. But even as he plotted his next move, a sense of excitement surged through him. The prospect of conquering more women filled him with a rush of adrenaline, igniting a fire within him that refused to be extinguished. Discover new chapters at novelby.co. With a contented sigh, Wang Jian closed his eyes, his thoughts consumed by visions of future conquests and the thrill of the chase. As the sun peeked over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian set out on his mission for the day. His first destination, the Alchemy Division. As he entered the bustling halls of the Alchemy Division, Wang Jian couldn't help but notice the numerous beautiful women going about their tasks with focused determination. Each one seemed completely absorbed in her work, their minds dedicated to unlocking the mysteries of alchemy. Wang Jian sauntered through the division, his eyes roving over the diligent disciples. He flashed a charming smile here, exchanged a flirtatious wink there, relishing in the attention he garnered from the women. "Good morning, ladies," he greeted with a smooth tone, his voice laced with a hint of mischief. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" The women glanced up from their work, their expressions shifting from concentration to curiosity as they regarded the newcomer in their midst. They exchanged glances, some with smiles of amusement, others with shy nods in response to Wang Jian's greeting. "Are you here to teach us, Master Wang?" one of the disciples asked, her eyes sparkling with interest. Wang Jian nodded with a charming grin. "That's right, my dear," he replied, his gaze sweeping over the group of women before him. "I'll be sharing my insights on the laws of alchemy with all of you." The women murmured appreciatively, their excitement palpable as they gathered around Wang Jian, eager to learn from the renowned master. Wang Jian, for his part, basked in the attention, reveling in the opportunity to impart his knowledge to such eager students. As the day progressed, Wang Jian found himself engrossed in lively discussions with the disciples, exchanging ideas and techniques as they delved deeper into the intricacies of alchemy. He offered guidance where needed, his expertise shining through with each insightful comment. Meanwhile, in another part of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian made his way to the Array Formation Division. Here, he encountered another group of dedicated disciples, each one fully immersed in the study of array formations. "Good morning, ladies," Wang Jian greeted once again, his smile as charming as ever. "I hope you're all ready for an enlightening day of learning." The women nodded eagerly, their eyes alight with anticipation as they gathered around Wang Jian, eager to soak up his wisdom. Wang Jian wasted no time in diving into the intricacies of array formations, guiding the disciples through various techniques and principles with ease. Explore Ta-Ti stories at no/l//bin.cm. As the day wore on, Wang Jian found himself thoroughly enjoying his interactions with the disciples of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Throughout the day, Wang Jian flirted shamelessly with the disciples, his charm and charisma on full display as he exchanged playful banter and teasing remarks. The women responded in kind, their laughter filling the air as they enjoyed the light-hearted atmosphere. By the time evening descended upon the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian had made quite an impression on the disciples. This was how the first day went on. And in this day, Wang Jian had certainly earned the respect of these disciples of the Alchemy and Array Formation divisions of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. The next day, the sun rose over the tranquil grounds of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, casting a soft glow over the bustling activity within its walls. Wang Jian, feeling invigorated by the morning light, made his way to the alchemy division first. As he entered the division's chambers, he was greeted by the sight of diligent disciples immersed in their studies. "Good morning, Master Wang Jian," greeted one of the disciples, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Good morning." Wang Jian replied with a charming smile, his eyes scanning the room for potential targets. He spotted a group of young women huddled together, discussing the intricacies of alchemical processes. Sauntering over to them, Wang Jian leaned against a nearby table, his expression casual yet alluring. "What are you lovely ladies discussing today?" he inquired, his voice laced with charm. The women glanced up, their faces flushing slightly at the sight of the handsome newcomer. "Oh, Master Wang Jian, we were just debating the best methods for refining spiritual essences in alchemy," one of them replied, her voice tinged with excitement. Wang Jian nodded approvingly, his gaze lingering on each of them in turn. "Ah, an intriguing topic indeed," he remarked, his tone suggestive. "Perhaps I could offer some insights of my own?" The women exchanged nervous glances, clearly taken aback by Wang Jian's forwardness. But before they could respond, he continued, his words smooth and persuasive. "After all, what harm could come from a little collaboration between colleagues?" he added, flashing them a dazzling smile. The women's resistance began to waver under Wang Jian's magnetic charm, and soon they found themselves drawn into a lively discussion with him, their initial hesitations forgotten. After spending some time with the alchemy disciples, Wang Jian made his way to the array formation division. Here, he found a different atmosphere, with disciples poring over intricate diagrams and runes. "Master Wang Jian," exclaimed one of the disciples as he entered the room, her eyes widening in surprise. "What brings you to our humble division?" Wang Jian chuckled, his demeanor relaxed yet confident. "Just thought I'd pay a visit and see how my talented disciples are faring," he replied, his gaze sweeping over the room. As he mingled with the array formation disciples, Wang Jian couldn't help but notice their studious dedication to their craft. Each one was deeply engrossed in their work, striving to unlock the secrets of the arcane symbols before them. "Interesting formation you have there," Wang Jian remarked, gesturing towards a particularly complex diagram. "Mind if I take a closer look?" The disciple nodded eagerly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Of course, Master Wang Jian. We'd be honored to have your expertise." With a smile, Wang Jian approached the diagram, his keen eyes tracing the intricate lines and symbols. "Ah, I see," he murmured, his voice filled with admiration. "You've done some impressive work here." The disciple beamed with pride at the praise, clearly thrilled by Wang Jian's approval. Encouraged by her response, Wang Jian continued to engage with the array formation disciples, sharing his own insights and suggestions with them. Throughout the day, Wang Jian flitted effortlessly between the alchemy and array formation divisions, charming and flirting with the disciples of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. With his easy confidence and magnetic personality, he left a trail of smitten admirers in his wake, each one eagerly awaiting his next visit. As the days drifted by in the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, a whisper of unsettling news began to spread among the disciples and elders alike. It was said that powerful star lords from the western region of the cosmos had descended upon the eastern region, their presence sending ripples of unease throughout the sect. The mention of star lords, beings revered for their formidable strength at the divine ascension realm, stirred a sense of apprehension among the Heavenly Jade Pavilion's inhabitants. Despite residing in the same realm as their esteemed pavilion mistress Cui Lan, the Star Lords from the western region were regarded with a mix of awe and wariness due to their unparalleled legacy, inheritances, and strength. The reason for their sudden appearance in the eastern region? Rumors suggested that they sought none other than the Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess. Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a pang of anxiety at the mention of the Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess. He knew her true identity as Yu Qing, and the thought of her falling into the hands of the Star Lords filled him with dread. The news spread like wildfire, causing murmurs of concern to ripple through the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Elders and disciples alike exchanged worried glances, pondering the implications of the Star Lord's arrival and their pursuit of the enigmatic Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess. As discussions buzzed throughout the sect, Wang Jian remained on edge, his thoughts consumed by the fate of Yu Qing. He knew the danger she faced if caught by the Star Lords, and he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at him. Amidst the apprehension, however, there was a sense of resignation among the elders and disciples of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. While they couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation, their concern for the Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess was tempered by their allegiance to their own sect. "We can only hope that the Star Lords don't bring trouble to our doorstep," one elder remarked, his voice tinged with resignation. "Indeed," another agreed, her expression grave. "As long as they don't disrupt the peace of our eastern region, we need not involve ourselves in their affairs." The sentiment was echoed throughout the sect, with many expressing a similar sentiment of cautious detachment. While they acknowledged the severity of the situation, their focus remained on protecting their own territory and maintaining the tranquility of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. As the days stretched on, the presence of the Star Lords loomed over the eastern region like a dark cloud. Reports trickled in of their movements, each one fueling the growing sense of tension among the sect. Meanwhile, Wang Jian couldn't shake the nagging worry that lingered in the back of his mind. He knew that the Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess was in grave danger, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility weighing heavily upon him. "I have to do something," he muttered to himself, his brow furrowed in determination. "I can't stand by and watch Yu Qing fall into the hands of those Star Lords." With resolve firm in his heart, Wang Jian set out to devise a plan to protect Yu Qing from the impending threat. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to do whatever it took to keep her safe, even if it meant confronting the powerful Star Lords. As Wang Jian mulled over the precarious situation, a sense of urgency gnawed at him. He knew that confronting the powerful Star Lords head-on would be a fool's errand, given their immense strength and formidable status. Yet, the thought of standing idly by while Yu Qing faced imminent danger was a notion he couldn't bear. "How can I protect Yu Qing from the Star Lords without putting myself in harm's way?" Wang Jian pondered, his mind racing with possibilities. "I can't challenge them directly, but perhaps there's another way." With a determined glint in his eyes, Wang Jian resolved to leverage his influence within the Heavenly Jade Pavilion to thwart the Star Lord's plans. He knew that manipulating the sect's top management would be no easy feat, but he was prepared to employ every trick in the book to ensure Yu Qing's safety. As he ventured through the bustling corridors of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian's thoughts churned with strategy. He knew that he would need to tread carefully, lest his intentions be discovered prematurely. Upon reaching the grand hall where the sect's elders convened, Wang Jian adopted a composed demeanor, concealing the turmoil brewing within him. He knew that his next moves would be crucial in shaping the fate of both Yu Qing and the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Entering the hall, Wang Jian observed the elders gathered around a large circular table, their expressions grave as they discussed the looming threat posed by the Star Lords. "Brothers and sisters," one elder addressed the group, his voice tinged with concern. "We must devise a plan to safeguard our sect from the encroaching threat of the Star Lords. We cannot afford to underestimate their power." The sentiment was echoed by murmurs of agreement from the other elders, their brows furrowed in contemplation. As Wang Jian listened to the discussion unfold, a plan began to take shape in his mind. He knew that he would need to gain the trust of the elders and sway them to his cause if he hoped to influence their decisions. Approaching the table with measured steps, Wang Jian cleared his throat, capturing the attention of the gathered elders. "Esteemed elders," he began, his voice steady. "I believe that I may have a solution to our current predicament." All eyes turned to Wang Jian, curiosity flickering in their gazes as they awaited his proposal. "In my travels," Wang Jian continued, choosing his words carefully, "I have encountered methods of defense that may prove effective against the Star Lords. With your permission, I would be honored to share my insights with you." The elders exchanged knowing glances, their interest piqued by Wang Jian's offer. Very well, one elder spoke, nodding in approval. We shall convene a council to hear your proposals. Your insights may prove invaluable in our efforts to protect the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. With a sense of satisfaction, Wang Jian nodded in agreement, knowing that he had taken the first step towards achieving his goal. As the council adjourned, Wang Jian retreated to the solitude of his chambers, his mind abuzz with plans and schemes. He knew that he would need to act swiftly if he hoped to sway the elders to his cause and secure Yuqing's safety. The next day dawned with an air of determination swirling around Wang Jian as he made his way through the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. His mind buzzed with plans and strategies, each one carefully crafted to protect Yuqing and thwart the looming threat of the Star Lords from the western region. As he approached the elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, Wang Jian's resolve hardened. He knew that he couldn't face the Star Lords head-on, but he refused to sit idly by while they posed a threat to the sect he had grown to care for. Good morning, esteemed elders, Wang Jian greeted them with a respectful nod. I have a proposal that I believe will help safeguard the Heavenly Jade Pavilion from the encroaching threat. The elders regarded him with keen interest, their curiosity piqued by Wang Jian's confident demeanor. Pray tell, Wang Jian, one of the elders prompted, her eyes alight with curiosity. What is this proposal of yours? Wang Jian took a moment to gather his thoughts before speaking. I have devised a great Grandmaster-level array formation, he began, his tone earnest. This formation, once activated, will encircle the entirety of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, serving as a barrier against any outside threats. The elders exchanged intrigued glances, clearly impressed by Wang Jian's proposal. And how exactly would this array formation work? Another elder inquired, her interest evident. Wang Jian smiled confidently as he explained the intricacies of his creation. The array formation will harness the natural energies surrounding the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, weaving them together to create a protective barrier, he elaborated. Once activated, this barrier will be impenetrable to all but those with the most formidable strength. The elders listened intently, their attention fully captured by Wang Jian's proposal. And you believe that this array formation will be sufficient to repel the threat posed by the Star Lords? One of the elders questioned, her brow furrowed in thought. Wang Jian nodded firmly. I am confident that with the activation of this array formation, the Heavenly Jade Pavilion will be able to withstand any outside threats, he affirmed. The elders deliberated among themselves, their expressions thoughtful as they considered Wang Jian's proposal. After a moment of silence, one of the elders spoke up, her voice laced with approval. Wang Jian, your proposal is both bold and ingenious, she commended. I believe it would be wise for us to implement this array formation as soon as possible. The other elders murmured their agreement, their reservations fading in the face of Wang Jian's compelling argument. Very well, the eldest elder declared, her voice carrying the weight of authority. Let us proceed with Wang Jian's plan and ensure the safety of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Wang Jian's heart swelled with satisfaction as he watched the elders rally behind his proposal. To gather the resources for this array formation, Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan told Wang Jian to list all the resources he would need for this array formation, and she would mobilize the beautiful elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion accordingly to ensure that he gets those resources. Wang Jian gets a bit lost in thought before he tells her that he needs a couple of hours to prepare this list. Soon, Wang Jian retreated to the quiet solitude of his chamber, his mind buzzing with plans and calculations. He knew that the success of the array formation hinged on securing the necessary resources, and he was determined to ensure that nothing stood in their way. As he settled into his seat, Wang Jian retrieved the Astral Vision Network, its shimmering interface illuminating the dimly lit room. With a practiced hand, he navigated through the network, his eyes scanning the vast expanse of stars that stretched out before him. All right, let's see what we have here, Wang Jian muttered to himself, his gaze focused on the multitude of stars displayed on the screen. Each star represented a potential source of resources for the array formation, and Wang Jian needed to identify the most promising candidates. His thoughts drifted to the Lin ancient family's starry expanse, a region teeming with powerful cultivators and untold riches. It was here that I Ching's aura had first emerged, drawing the attention of countless star lords and cultivators alike. Wang Jian's lips curved into a wry smile as he considered the challenges that lay ahead. The Lin ancient family's starry expanse was a dangerous place, fraught with peril and intrigue. But he knew that if he wanted to gather the resources needed for the array formation, he would have to venture into its depths. With a sense of determination burning in his chest, Wang Jian began to compile a list of the resources required for the array formation. He meticulously noted down each item, taking care to prioritize those that could only be found within the Lin family's starry expanse. Hours passed in a blur as Wang Jian pored over the data, his focus unwavering as he mapped out their strategy. Finally, satisfied with his preparations, he leaned back in his chair and stretched, feeling a sense of accomplishment wash over him. Find up tedovels on n/v/elbin.co/m. Now, it's time to put the plan into action, Wang Jian murmured to himself, a spark of excitement igniting in his chest. He knew that the next step would be to present his list to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan and rally the beautiful elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion to their cause. With a renewed sense of purpose, Wang Jian set his plans into motion. Upon his arrival, Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan greeted him with a warm smile. "Have you prepared the list of required resources, Wang Jian?" she inquired, her tone expectant. Wang Jian nodded, handing over the parchment containing the detailed list. "Here you go, Pavilion Mistress," he replied, his voice tinged with determination. "I've outlined everything we'll need to begin preparations for the array formation." Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan accepted the parchment, her eyes scanning over the contents with interest. "Impressive," she remarked, her tone filled with approval. "You've put a great deal of thought into this, Wang Jian." Wang Jian nodded humbly, a sense of pride swelling within him. He was grateful for Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's acknowledgement of his efforts, knowing that her approval was a crucial step towards realizing his plan. Now, Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan began, her gaze meeting Wang Jian's with unwavering resolve. "We will mobilize the elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion to gather the necessary resources. I will ensure that everything on this list is acquired without delay." Wang Jian's heart soared at her words, his confidence in their plan growing stronger with each passing moment. "Thank you, Pavilion Mistress," he replied gratefully. Wang Jian observed the flurry of activity in the main hall of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion as Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan examined the lengthy list of materials he had provided. He watched her closely, waiting for her reaction, knowing that their success hinged on her ability to gather the necessary resources. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's brows furrowed slightly as she perused the list, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of nervousness, his heart pounding in his chest as he waited for her verdict. "This list, it's quite extensive," Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan remarked, her voice echoing with a hint of concern. "Many of these materials are exceedingly rare, and some may prove challenging to obtain." Wang Jian nodded in agreement, his mind already racing with potential solutions. He knew that securing the resources would be no easy task, but he was determined to see their plan through to the end. "We'll need to mobilize all of our resources to gather these materials," Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan continued, her gaze meeting Wang Jian's with unwavering determination. "I'll assemble the elders of the Array Formation Division and task them with this mission." A sense of relief washed over Wang Jian as he heard her words. He knew that Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan was not one to back down from a challenge, and he had full confidence in her ability to lead the mission. As Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan summoned the elders of the Array Formation Division, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. He knew that their success would depend on the dedication and skill of these talented individuals, and he was eager to see them in action. Soon, the hall was filled with the chatter of voices as the elders gathered around Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan, their expressions a mix of curiosity and determination. Wang Jian observed them closely, taking note of their resolve and sense of purpose. "All right, everyone," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan began, her voice carrying authority. "We have a mission to complete. Wang Jian has provided us with a list of materials needed for a crucial array formation, and it's up to us to gather them." The elders nodded in understanding, their eyes alight with determination. They knew that their task would not be easy, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "We'll split into teams and begin our search immediately," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan continued, her tone decisive. "Each team will be responsible for gathering specific materials from different locations. Remember, our success depends on our ability to work together and overcome any obstacles that come our way." With that, the elders dispersed, each one preparing for the journey ahead. One particular team, led by an exceptionally beautiful elder at the Divine Ascension realm, embarked on a journey to the Lin family's starry expanse in search of the elusive divine crimson gold. Wang Jian watched as they departed, a sense of anticipation building within him. Read latest ch at n/v/e/lbi.co/m. "All right, let's see how this plays out," Wang Jian muttered to himself, a mischievous glint in his eye. He knew that the presence of such stunningly beautiful elders would undoubtedly attract the attention of the Star Lords patrolling the area, and he couldn't wait to see the chaos unfold. As the days passed, news began to trickle in from the various teams of elders, each reporting their progress in the search for the required resources. Wang Jian listened intently to their reports, his excitement growing with each passing day. As the days rolled by, teams of elders returned to the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, bearing the fruits of their labor in the form of the rare resources listed by Wang Jian. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan greeted each returning group with a warm smile, rewarding them with rare treasures as a token of appreciation for their efforts. The atmosphere in the pavilion was one of jubilation and accomplishment as the elders celebrated their success. However, amidst the jubilation, there was a sense of unease lingering in the air. One group of elders failed to return, their absence casting a shadow over the otherwise joyous occasion. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan furrowed her brow in concern, her mind racing as she contemplated the fate of the missing group. "This is troubling," she murmured to herself, her thoughts consumed by worry. "Why haven't they returned? And why haven't they contacted us?" Concern rippled through the pavilion as rumors spread about the fate of the missing group. Wang Jian observed the growing unease with a sense of satisfaction, knowing that his plan was unfolding exactly as he had envisioned. Internally, Wang Jian couldn't help but smile at the turn of events. He knew that the missing elders had likely fallen into the hands of the Star Lords, and he relished the chaos and confusion that his manipulation had caused. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan mobilized her spy network to gather information, Wang Jian watched from the sidelines, his mind racing with anticipation. He knew that it was only a matter of time before the truth was revealed, and he eagerly awaited the outcome of their investigation. It wasn't long before Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan received word from her spy within the Lin family's starry expanse. The grim truth was revealed: the missing elders had indeed been abducted by the Star Lords patrolling the area. Upon learning of this dire situation, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's expression hardened, her determination unwavering in the face of adversity. She knew that they could not allow their fellow sisters to remain captive to the whims of the Star Lords, and she vowed to take action to secure their release. As the news spread throughout the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, a sense of urgency permeated the air. The elders gathered in solemn discussion, their minds racing with plans and strategies to rescue their missing companions. Wang Jian watched the proceedings with keen interest, his mind already calculating the next steps in their intricate dance of manipulation. "It seems the time has come to intervene," Wang Jian murmured to himself, his gaze focused and determined. He knew that the situation called for swift and decisive action, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure the safety of the abducted elders. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan wasted no time in formulating a plan of action, her voice resolute as she addressed the gathered elders. We cannot allow our sisters to remain in captivity, she declared, her words ringing with conviction. We must act swiftly to rescue them from the clutches of the Star Lords. The elders nodded in agreement, their resolve bolstered by Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's unwavering leadership. Together, they formulated a daring rescue mission, drawing upon their collective skills and resources to orchestrate a plan of attack. However, before they could finalize their plans, Wang Jian stepped forward, his expression determined. I wish to join the rescue mission, he announced, his voice firm as he met Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's gaze. I may not possess the strength of a divine ascension realm cultivator, but I have connections that may prove useful in this endeavor. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan regarded Wang Jian with a mixture of surprise and skepticism. This is no ordinary mission, Wang Jian, she cautioned, her tone serious. The Star Lords we're dealing with are incredibly powerful. Are you certain you're prepared for the dangers that lie ahead? Wang Jian nodded, his resolve unwavering. I understand the risks, he replied, his voice steady. But I also know Lin Xingya, the heiress of the Lin ancient family. If we seek her assistance, we may be able to garner support from the Lin family to aid us in our mission. Considering that it is their territory, we would be able to employ high-ranking array formations against the Star Lords. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan paused, considering Wang Jian's words carefully. She knew that enlisting the help of the Lin family could significantly bolster their chances of success, but she also understood the dangers involved in confronting the Star Lords. After a moment of contemplation, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan nodded in agreement. Very well, she conceded, her expression grave. If you truly believe that you can secure assistance from the Lin family, then you may join us on this mission. But remember, the stakes are high, and failure is not an option. Wang Jian nodded solemnly, his determination burning brightly in his eyes. I won't let you down, he vowed, his voice filled with conviction. As Wang Jian joined Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and the group of elders preparing to embark on their rescue mission, excitement mingled with apprehension in the air. They were a formidable sight, each one armed with determination and a sense of purpose. Make sure you have your divine escape talismans ready, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan instructed, her voice firm as she addressed the group. We cannot afford to underestimate the threat posed by these Star Lords. Wang Jian nodded, his expression serious as he checked the talisman at his waist. The rare artifact pulsed with energy, a reassuring reminder of the protection it offered. I'm ready for whatever comes our way, he thought to himself, steeling his resolve for the journey ahead. With their preparations complete, the group set off, their destination clear in their minds. As the small fleet of flying ships soared through the vast expanse of the cosmos, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement mingled with apprehension. He was seated beside Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, surrounded by the other beautiful elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, each one brimming with determination. The journey continued as the flying ships traversed the cosmic landscape at breakneck speed. Wang Jian stole glances out of the viewport, his mind racing with thoughts of the impending confrontation. Just a little while longer, he reassured himself silently, steeling his resolve for the challenges that awaited them in the Lin family's starry expanse. Up.dfrm no/v/e/lb in.co/m. After nearly 2 days of travel through the vast expanse of the cosmos, the flying ships of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion finally arrived at the Lin family's starry expanse. Despite the speed granted by the spatial nodes, the journey had felt like an eternity, each passing moment tinged with anticipation and uncertainty. As they approached the spatial barrier surrounding the Lin family's starry expanse, Wang Jian's heart pounded with nervous excitement. He had made arrangements with Lin Xingya beforehand, ensuring that the spatial barrier would remain open for their arrival. Now, as the flying ships breached the barrier and entered the starry expanse, a sense of relief washed over him. Looks like our plan worked, Wang Jian remarked, casting a satisfied glance at Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan beside him. She nodded in agreement, her expression one of quiet determination. Indeed. Now let's make the most of this opportunity, she replied, her voice steady with resolve. As the flying ship docked at the main star where the Lin family resided, Wang Jian and the others disembarked, greeted by the sight of Lin Xingya and several formidable ancestors of the Lin family. One of the elder Lin family members, a stern-looking man with a formidable aura, stepped forward, his gaze piercing as he addressed Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan, we welcome you and your esteemed guests to the Lin family's starry expanse, he said, his tone respectful but tinged with a hint of wariness. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan inclined her head in acknowledgement. Thank you for your hospitality, Elder Lin, she replied, her voice carrying a note of authority. We have come seeking assistance in a matter of great urgency. Elder Lin's expression softened slightly, though the air of caution remained. Of course, Pavilion Mistress. Please, come with us. We will discuss this matter further with our family's council. The ancestors of the Lin family, though proud and haughty, showed deference to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan and her entourage. Despite their formidable strength, they recognized the prestige of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion and the authority of Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. Meanwhile, amidst the exchange of pleasantries, Wang Jian emerged from the flying ship alongside Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan, drawing curious glances from the Lin family ancestors. Who is that man? Whispered one of the Lin family elders to his companion, eyeing Wang Jian with suspicion. I have no idea, replied the other, furrowing his brow. But he emerged from the same flying ship as Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. He must be important. Wang Jian, however, paid little heed to the speculative whispers around him. His attention was fixated on Lin Xingya, who was beaming with excitement at the sight of him. Lin Xingya's face lit up with excitement as she caught sight of Wang Jian among the group. Jian, she exclaimed, rushing forward to greet him with open arms. Wang Jian smiled warmly, returning her embrace. Xingya, it's good to see you, he replied, his voice filled with genuine affection. The elders of the Lin family observed the exchange with keen interest, their expressions a mix of curiosity and suspicion. It was clear that they were puzzled by Wang Jian's presence among the Heavenly Jade Pavilion's entourage, particularly his proximity to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan. As they were led towards the Lin family's council chamber, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of nervous energy. He knew that their success in securing the Lin family's support would depend on their ability to navigate the delicate politics of the situation. Just stay calm and focused, he reminded himself silently, steeling his resolve for the negotiations that lay ahead. As Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan and the other elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion sat down with the council of the Lin family, the atmosphere in the chamber was charged with tension and anticipation. Wang Jian observed the proceedings with keen interest, his mind racing with thoughts of their mission's success. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan wasted no time in laying out the situation, her voice steady and commanding as she addressed the gathered members of the Lin family. As you are aware, some of our elders have been abducted by Star Lords in this territory, she began, her gaze sweeping across the room. We are here to request your assistance in locating and rescuing them. Lin Ziki, the patriarch of the Lin family, listened intently, his expression grave. This is indeed a grave matter, he remarked, his tone somber. But you must understand, Pavilion Mistress, that engaging with Star Lords is no small task. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan nodded in acknowledgement. Of course, we do not expect you to engage in direct conflict with the Star Lords, she reassured him. Rather, we seek your assistance in utilizing your formidable arrays to locate the abducted elders. The council members exchanged wary glances, clearly deliberating over Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's proposal. It was evident that they were hesitant to involve themselves in such a risky venture. Lin Ziki considered her words carefully, his brows furrowed in thought. It is a risky proposition, he admitted. But the Heavenly Jade Pavilion has always been a valued ally of the Lin family. We will consider your request. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan breathed a sigh of relief, her expression hopeful. Thank you, Patriarch Lin. We are willing to offer generous compensation for your aid, she said, her voice earnest. Lin Ziqi's eyes gleamed with interest at the mention of compensation. Please, enlighten us on what rewards the Heavenly Jade Pavilion can offer, he requested, his curiosity piqued. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan wasted no time in listing the rewards, each one more enticing than the last. In return for your assistance, the Heavenly Jade Pavilion pledges to provide the Lin family with rare treasures, ancient artifacts, and exclusive access to our defensive array formations and some of our exclusive alchemy palettes, she declared, her words carrying the weight of their sincerity. The members of the Lin family exchanged knowing glances, their interest visibly piqued by the tantalizing offer. It was clear that the prospect of such rewards was difficult to resist, even for an ancient family like theirs. I must consult with my council before making a decision, Lin Ziqi announced, his tone measured. But rest assured, Pavilion Mistress, your proposal will be given due consideration. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan nodded in understanding. Of course, Patriarch Lin. We await your decision, she replied, her expression hopeful yet determined. As the council chamber emptied and the members of the Lin family dispersed to deliberate, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of optimism. It seemed that their plan was one step closer to fruition, thanks to Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's shrewd negotiation tactics. A couple of hours passed by as Patriarch Lin Ziqi discussed this matter with his council while hearing their responses. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan knew that she had put forth a compelling case for Lin family's assistance in rescuing the abducted elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, but she knew that the final decision rested in the hands of the Lin family's patriarch. After what felt like an eternity, they were called into the council again. Patriarch Lin Ziqi spoke, his voice carrying the weight of authority. We have deliberated on your request, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, he began, his tone measured. While we are willing to offer our assistance, I must make it clear that the Lin family will not engage in direct conflict with the Star Lords. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan nodded in understanding, her expression calm yet resolute. Your terms are acceptable, Patriarch Lin, she replied, her voice unwavering. Patriarch Lin Ziqi offered a faint smile of approval, his demeanor regal. Very well, Pavilion Mistress. We shall lend our aid in whatever capacity we can, he declared, his words echoing through the chamber. With Patriarch Lin Ziqi's agreement secured, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan felt a wave of relief wash over her. It was a small victory, but a significant one nonetheless. As the council chamber emptied and the members of the Lin family dispersed to make preparations, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan turned to Wang Jian with a grateful smile. Thank you for your assistance, Wang Jian, she said, her voice tinged with appreciation. Your connection with Lin Xingya proved invaluable in securing the Lin family's support. Wang Jian returned her smile with a nod of acknowledgement. I am glad I could be of help, Pavilion Mistress, he replied, his tone humble. I will do whatever it takes to ensure the safety of our abducted elders. With their alliance with the Lin family forged, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan wasted no time in coordinating their next steps. We must act swiftly, she declared, her voice firm. We will rendezvous with the Lin family's array masters and strategize our approach to locating the abducted elders. The group quickly made their way to the designated meeting point, where they were greeted by a team of skilled array masters from the Lin family. As they exchanged pleasantries and discussed their plan of action, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism. With the combined expertise of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion and the Lin family, they stood a fighting chance against the Star Lords. Wang Jian observed the proceedings with keen interest, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that the success of their mission hinged on their ability to outmaneuver the powerful Star Lords, and he was determined to do whatever it took to ensure their victory. As the discussion continued late into the night, plans were drawn, strategies were devised. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as they prepared to embark on their daring rescue mission. As the array masters of the Lin ancient family departed, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan gathered everyone she had brought with her, including the other elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion and Wang Jian. The atmosphere was tense, the weight of their mission pressing heavily upon them. "All right, everyone, listen up," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan began, her voice commanding attention. "Our priority is to rescue our abducted elders without engaging in direct conflict with the Star Lords. Remember, we are here to retrieve our own, not to provoke unnecessary battles." Wang Jian listened intently, his mind already spinning with plans and strategies. He knew he had to tread carefully, especially considering Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's warning about his safety. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan turned her gaze towards him, Wang Jian could sense the gravity of her concern. "Wang Jian, I need you to stay away from the battlefield," she said firmly, her eyes piercing. "Your safety is paramount, and we cannot afford to risk your well-being in this operation." Wang Jian nodded in agreement, understanding the rationale behind her words. "Don't worry, Pavilion Mistress, I'll stay out of harm's way," he assured her, his voice steady. However, Wang Jian had other plans swirling in his mind. He knew that while he couldn't directly confront the Star Lords, there was still a way he could contribute to their mission without putting himself in harm's way. "Pavilion Mistress, I have a plan," Wang Jian interjected, his voice brimming with confidence. "I propose seizing control of the arrays of the Lin ancient family as a backup plan. If our initial approach fails, this could provide us with another means of rescuing our elders." Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan regarded him with a mixture of surprise and concern. "That's a risky move, Wang Jian," she cautioned, her tone cautious. "If we're discovered, the consequences could be dire. The Lin family may never forgive us, and it could strain your relationship with Lin Xingya." Wang Jian chuckled softly, though there was a hint of determination in his eyes. "I'll take that risk, Pavilion Mistress," he replied confidently. "But rest assured, I'll handle it with utmost discretion. We won't get caught." Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan sighed, her expression conflicted. She knew there was no dissuading Wang Jian once he had set his mind to something. "Very well, but be careful, Wang Jian," she said finally, her tone filled with concern. "We're counting on you to make this mission a success." With a nod of assurance, Wang Jian prepared himself mentally for the task ahead. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and the elders of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion soared through the skies at breakneck speed, they made sure to cloak their divine energy and spiritual energy fluctuations using precious treasures. The mission ahead was perilous, and they couldn't afford to alert the Star Lords to their presence. Meanwhile, Wang Jian flew ahead, his mind focused on the task at hand. He wasn't directly accompanying Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, but rather, he was headed towards the location of the heart of the Lin ancient family's killing array formation. This offensive formation could be a crucial asset if a confrontation with the Star Lords became inevitable. As he flew, Wang Jian couldn't help but feel a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. The prospect of taking control of such a powerful array filled him with both excitement and trepidation. But he knew he had to stay focused and execute his plan flawlessly. "All right, time to put my skills to the test," Wang Jian muttered to himself, a determined glint in his eyes. With a confident smile, he adjusted his course and sped towards his destination, the wind whipping past him as he soared through the air. Meanwhile, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her entourage continued their journey, their movements swift and calculated. They knew they had to act quickly to rescue their abducted elders before it was too late. The tension in the air was palpable as they drew closer to their destination. "We're almost there," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan called out to the group, her voice steady despite the gravity of their mission. "Stay focused, everyone. We need to remain vigilant." The elders nodded in agreement, their expressions determined as they prepared themselves for what lay ahead. Each one of them was a seasoned warrior, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. As they approached the region where the Star Lords were believed to be holding the abducted elders, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan signaled for them to slow down and proceed with caution. They couldn't afford to make any mistakes now. "We need to proceed with stealth from here on out," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan whispered to the group, her voice barely audible over the rushing wind. "Keep your senses sharp and stay alert for any signs of danger." The elders nodded silently, their movements fluid as they followed Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's lead. They moved like shadows, their footsteps light as they navigated the terrain with precision. Meanwhile, Wang Jian arrived at the location of Heart of the Killing Array formation, his heart pounding with anticipation. He could sense the powerful energy emanating from the array, its intricate design hinting at its devastating potential. "Time to work my magic," Wang Jian murmured to himself, a confident smirk gracing his lips. With practiced ease, he began to analyze the array, his mind racing as he searched for any weaknesses or vulnerabilities. As he worked, Wang Jian couldn't shake the feeling of excitement coursing through him. This was his element, his domain of expertise, and he was determined to master it. "Ah, there it is," Wang Jian exclaimed triumphantly, his eyes lighting up as he identified a critical flaw in the array's structure. With a deft flick of his wrist, he began to manipulate the energy flow, subtly altering the array's configuration to suit his needs. Hours passed as Wang Jian worked tirelessly, his focus unwavering as he fine-tuned the array to perfection. Finally, with a satisfied nod, he stepped back to admire his handiwork. "Now, let's see how this plays out," Wang Jian thought to himself, a sense of anticipation coursing through him. He knew that his actions could have a significant impact on the outcome of their mission, and he was ready to see it through to the end. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her group of elders approached the massive star where the abducted Heavenly Jade Pavilion elders were believed to be held, a tense atmosphere hung in the air. They knew they had to tread carefully to avoid detection by the Star Lords patrolling the area. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan surveyed the scene before them, her mind working quickly to devise a plan of action. She could see two Star Lords stationed near the entrance to the star, their powerful auras casting a palpable sense of danger over the area. They were the first line of defense, and getting past them would not be easy. "We need to come up with a strategy to bypass those Star Lords without alerting them to our presence," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, her voice low but resolute. "We can't afford to engage in a battle with them. Our priority is to rescue our comrades." The elders nodded in agreement, their expressions serious as they considered their options. They knew that any misstep could have dire consequences, and they had to proceed with caution. "I have an idea," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, a spark of determination in her eyes. "We'll create a diversion to draw the attention of those Star Lords away from us." The elders exchanged glances, intrigued by Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's plan. They trusted her judgment implicitly, knowing that she had led them through countless challenges before. "What kind of diversion do you have in mind?" one of the elders asked, curiosity evident in her voice. "We'll use the desolate beasts," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan explained. "We'll set up bait on various planets surrounding the star to lure the beasts out. Once the smell of the bait spreads, it should attract a large number of desolate beasts. The Star Lords will have no choice but to deal with them, giving us the opportunity to slip past unnoticed." The elders nodded in understanding, impressed by Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's ingenuity. It was a risky plan, but it was their best chance of avoiding a confrontation with the Star Lords. "Let's get to work," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, determination etched into her features. "We don't have much time." The group sprang into action, each elder taking on a specific task to execute Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's plan. They worked quickly and efficiently, setting up bait stations on nearby planets and spreading the scent far and wide to attract the attention of the desolate beasts. As they waited for the plan to take effect, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan couldn't help but feel a surge of anticipation. This was their chance to rescue their comrades and deal a blow to the Star-Lord's operation. But she knew they had to remain patient and wait for the right moment to make their move. Velben.cm for new updates. Hours passed, and just as Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon had hoped, the scent of the bait began to spread across the surrounding planets. Soon, the first wave of desolate beasts emerged from their hiding places, drawn by the promise of food. "Here they come," one of the elders said, her voice tinged with excitement. The group watched as the desolate beasts swarmed towards the bait stations, their movements swift and relentless. It was a sight to behold, and Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon couldn't help but marvel at the power of nature. As the beasts descended upon the bait, the Star-Lord stationed near the entrance to the star sprang into action, their powerful attacks aimed at subduing the creatures. It was a chaotic scene, with the sounds of battle echoing through the void. "Now's our chance," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon said, her voice filled with determination. "Let's move quickly while the Star-Lords are distracted." The group wasted no time, moving swiftly towards the entrance to the star. They moved with stealth and precision, careful not to attract any unwanted attention from the Star-Lords. As they approached the entrance, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. They were so close to rescuing their comrades, and she was determined to see the mission through to the end. With one final push, they reached the entrance to the star, slipping past the distracted Star-Lords without incident. It was a moment of triumph, and Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in their accomplishment. "We did it," one of the elders said, a note of relief in her voice. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon nodded, her heart filled with gratitude for her loyal comrades. They had faced countless challenges together, but they had always emerged victorious in the end. "Now, let's find our comrades and bring them home," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon said, her voice filled with determination. "Our mission isn't over yet." As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon and her group of elders ventured deeper into the star, they remained vigilant, their senses attuned to any sign of their abducted comrades. The jade talisman clutched in Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon's hand served as their guide, its soft glow guiding them towards their destination. "This way," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon said, her voice hushed as she followed the faint light emanating from the talisman. "We're getting closer." The elders nodded in silent agreement, their expressions determined as they pressed on through the barren landscape of the star. They moved with purpose, their footsteps echoing softly in the stillness of the void. As they journeyed further, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon couldn't help but notice the eerie silence that surrounded them. There were no signs of life save for the occasional rustle of the wind and the distant cries of the desolate beasts. Discover new stories at nv/lbin.c/o. "Keep your guard up," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon said, her voice tinged with caution. "We don't know what dangers may lie ahead." The elders nodded in agreement, their senses sharpened as they scanned their surroundings for any potential threats. They moved forward cautiously, their eyes peeled for any sign of movement. As they continued their journey, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at her insides. She knew that they were walking into the heart of danger, and she braced herself for whatever challenges lay ahead. Eventually, after what felt like hours of walking, the jade talisman began to glow more brightly, its light leading them towards a cluster of buildings in the distance. "We're close," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon said, a note of determination in her voice. "Our comrades must be held captive in those buildings." The elders nodded in agreement, their expressions steely as they prepared themselves for the task ahead. They knew that rescuing their comrades would not be easy, but they were willing to do whatever it took to bring them home safely. As they approached the cluster of buildings, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lon couldn't help but marvel at their unique design. The architecture was unlike anything she had ever seen before, with intricate patterns and ornate carvings adorning the facades. "These buildings must belong to the Star-Lords," one of the elders remarked, her voice filled with awe. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan nodded, her eyes scanning the structures for any sign of activity. She could sense that their abducted comrades were being held somewhere within, and she steeled herself for the confrontation to come. "Let's split up and search each building," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, her voice firm. "We need to find our comrades and get them out of here as quickly as possible." The elders nodded in agreement, their expressions determined as they fanned out to search the buildings. They moved quickly and efficiently, their senses on high alert for any sign of danger. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan searched through the buildings, her heart pounded with anticipation. She knew that their time was running out, and she prayed that they would find their comrades before it was too late. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan came across a group of elders huddled together in a dimly lit chamber. Relief flooded her veins as she rushed to their side, her heart swelling with gratitude. "We're here to rescue you," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, her voice filled with emotion. "You're safe now." The elders looked up at her with tears in their eyes, their expressions a mixture of relief and gratitude. They knew that they owed their lives to Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her brave companions, and they would never forget the sacrifice they had made to save them. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan led the rescued elders out of the building, a sense of triumph washed over her. But their victory was short-lived. As they emerged from the building, they were met with a chilling sight, two Star Lords standing before them, their expressions twisted with malice. Well, one of the Star Lords sneered, his gaze lingering hungrily on Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her companions. "It seems our little trap worked even better than expected." Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's heart sank as she realized the gravity of the situation. They had walked right into the Star Lord's clutches, and now they were at their mercy. "We won't let you get away with this," Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan said, her voice trembling with suppressed anger. The Star Lords chuckled darkly, their eyes gleaming with wicked amusement. "Oh, I think you'll find that we have other plans for you, my dear Pavilion Mistress," one of them said, his voice dripping with malice. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan exchanged a worried glance with her companions, knowing that they were facing a formidable enemy. But she refused to back down without a fight. "Stay close, everyone," she whispered to the elders, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to stick together and find a way out of this." With renewed determination, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her companions prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They may have walked into a trap, but they were not about to let the Star Lords have the last laugh. As Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her companions braced themselves for a showdown with the two menacing Star Lords, a sudden voice echoed in their minds. It was Wang Jian, communicating with them through the array he had seized control of. "Everyone, listen to me," Wang Jian's voice resonated in their heads. "I've taken control of a powerful array. Led those Star Lords to a specific spot away from the star. The killing array I've activated there will neutralize them." Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and the elders exchanged stunned glances. Wang Jian had managed to seize control of the Lin family's most potent arrays. This was a remarkable feat. As they absorbed this revelation, a surge of pride swelled within them. They had welcomed an extraordinary talent into their midst, and his capabilities were proving invaluable in their time of need. Without hesitation, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan led her companions towards the designated spot, their movements swift and determined. Behind them, the two Star Lords pursued, unaware of the trap that awaited them. The chase intensified as they raced across the desolate landscape of the star, the tension thick in the air. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's heart pounded with anticipation, her mind focused on leading the Star Lords to their inevitable downfall. Finally, they reached the designated location, a desolate expanse far from any signs of life. Here, the killing array lay dormant, its powerful energies awaiting activation. As the Star Lords closed in, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and the elders braced themselves. With a surge of energy, the killing array sprang to life, its effects rippling through the air. The array, known as the Celestial Wrath Formation, unleashed its first wave of power, a suppression of cultivation. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan felt her strength wane as the array's energies engulfed her, leaving her feeling vulnerable and weakened. Beside her, the Star Lords faltered, their formidable powers diminished by the array's effects. Seizing the opportunity, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and the Elders launched into action, their movements precise and coordinated. The second phase of the Celestial Wrath Formation kicked in, unleashing a barrage of attacks upon the trapped Star Lords. The second phase of the Celestial Wrath Formation kicked in, unleashing a barrage of attacks upon the trapped Star Lords. Bolts of energy streaked through the air, striking their targets with unerring accuracy. Despite their diminished strength, the Star Lords fought back with ferocity, their powers formidable even in the face of the array's onslaught. With each passing moment, the Star Lords grew weaker under the relentless assault of the killing array. Their defenses crumbled, their once mighty forms now battered and broken. Finally, with a final burst of energy, the Celestial Wrath Formation delivered the decisive blow, incapacitating the Star Lords once and for all. As the dust settled, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her companions emerged victorious, their mission accomplished. As the Star Lords lay defeated, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her companions awaited the release of the suppressive array's effects. However, to their dismay, the oppressive energies continued to weigh heavily upon them. Confusion clouded Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's mind as she struggled against the unseen force. Something was amiss, this wasn't the liberation they had anticipated. Suddenly, a wave of disorientation swept over them as an unfamiliar array was activated. Illusions enveloped Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her elders, ensnaring them in a web of deceit. Panic surged within Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan as she fought to maintain her grasp on reality. Her surroundings warped and shifted, twisting into grotesque shapes and surreal landscapes. Desperation clouded her as she felt herself slipping away, her consciousness fading into darkness. Just as oblivion threatened to consume her, Wang Jian materialized from the shadows, his presence a jolt of recognition in the sea of chaos. With a flick of his wrist, Wang Jian multiplied into multiple clones, each one meticulously attending to the prone forms of Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan and her alluring companions. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's heart raced as she found herself lifted into strong, capable arms. Confusion mingled with a growing sense of dread as she struggled to make sense of the situation. As Wang Jian and his clones carried them to a nearby star, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's mind raced with questions. What was happening? How had they fallen prey to this deception? Her thoughts scattered like leaves in the wind as Wang Jian's gaze met hers, a sinister gleam lurking in his eyes. In that moment, she understood the true nature of their predicament. A chill crept down Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's spine as realization dawned upon her. They had been lured into a trap, and Wang Jian was the architect of their downfall. Fear mingled with anger as Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan struggled against her captor's hold. But as the weight of unconsciousness descended upon her, she knew that resistance was futile. In the depths of her mind, a voice screamed for salvation, for deliverance from the clutches of darkness. But as consciousness slipped away, it was drowned out by the haunting echoes of betrayal. Meanwhile, Wang Jian's clones moved with practiced precision, their movements fluid and effortless as they laid the women upon the soft grass of the star's surface. After setting them down gently, Wang Jian watched as the women lay unconscious, their forms bathed in the soft glow of starlight. With a predatory gleam in his eyes, he began to approach Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan, his heart racing with anticipation. "You're mine now," he murmured, his voice dripping with lust. Meanwhile, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan stirred slightly, her mind clouded by the effects of the illusion. As she struggled to regain consciousness, she felt a presence looming over her, sending shivers down her spine. "Wang Jian," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. But her words were lost in the darkness as Wang Jian leaned closer, his intentions clear. With each passing moment, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's resistance waned, her body responding to the primal desire coursing through her veins. As Wang Jian's touch grew more insistent, Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan's inhibitions melted away, consumed by the overwhelming tide of passion. Lost in the throes of ecstasy, she surrendered herself to the intoxicating allure of forbidden pleasure. Amidst the haze of desire and the intoxicating aroma of passion, Wang Jian found himself surrounded by the alluring beauties of the heavenly jade pavilion. As he reveled in the forbidden pleasure, his mind buzzed with a mixture of exhilaration and apprehension. All test NOVL on novelben/.cm. Divine Ascension Realm. Divine Spirit Realm. Wang Jian mused silently, acknowledging the vast chasm that separated his cultivation level from that of the women he now lay with. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds stacked against him, he dared to seize this moment, propelled by a potent mix of desire and ambition. With his mastery of the laws of array formation, Wang Jian unleashed the full force of the celestial wrath formation, suppressing the cultivation of the heavenly jade pavilion's elite cultivators. Each clone he conjured was a testament to his ingenuity, a reflection of his determination to conquer the seemingly insurmountable. As he indulged in the carnal delights offered by the heavenly jade pavilion's beauties, Wang Jian understood the perilous nature of his actions. Once the effects of the array faded and these women regained their senses, they would undoubtedly seek retribution for his audacious behavior. Yet, Wang Jian had a plan born from the depths of his cunning mind and fueled by his mastery of the law of contracts. To bind them as his eternal slaves, Wang Jian needed their consent, a task that required finesse and cunning. With each tantalizing encounter, he employed a myriad of techniques and positions, weaving a spell of ecstasy that clouded their judgment and left them vulnerable to his influence. As the pleasure reached its crescendo, Wang Jian seized the opportunity to broach the subject of eternal servitude, skillfully coaxing their consent amidst the throes of passion. "Agree to serve me, and I'll grant you pleasures beyond your wildest dreams," he whispered, his voice laced with seductive allure. In their ecstasy-addled state, the women acquiesced, their voices a soft murmur of consent that sealed their fate. With their consent secured, Wang Jian smirked triumphantly, his confidence unwavering as he reveled in the success of his audacious plan. "Now, let the games begin," he thought, his gaze alight with anticipation as he contemplated the boundless possibilities that lay ahead. As the night stretched on, Wang Jian found himself locked in a battle of wills with Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan. Her resistance only fueled his desire, igniting a primal urge to conquer her completely. With each passing moment, Wang Jian became more determined to break through her defenses and claim her as his own. Undeterred by her defiance, Wang Jian unleashed a barrage of seductive maneuvers, each one designed to weaken her resolve and leave her defenseless against his advances. He began with a gentle caress, tracing his fingers along the curves of her body, his touch igniting a fire within her that she struggled to contain. But Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan was not one to yield easily. She fought back with a ferocity that only served to inflame Wang Jian's desire further. Determined to overcome her resistance, he shifted tactics, drawing her into a passionate embrace that left her breathless and yearning for more. With each passing moment, Wang Jian grew more relentless in his pursuit, employing a variety of positions to overwhelm her senses and break down her defenses. He started with the missionary position, locking eyes with Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan as he thrust into her with a primal urgency that left her gasping for breath. But even as she resisted, Wang Jian refused to be deterred. He shifted seamlessly into the doggy-style position, driving into her with a force that threatened to consume them both. Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan fought against him with all her strength, but with each thrust, her resistance began to wane, replaced by a growing sense of pleasure and surrender. Refusing to let up, Wang Jian transitioned into the cowgirl position, allowing Pavilion Mistress Chui Lan to take control as she rode him with an abandon that bordered on reckless. With each movement, she drew closer to the edge of ecstasy, her resistance crumbling beneath the weight of her desire. And just when it seemed that she could resist no longer, Wang Jian unleashed his final assault, guiding her into the reverse cowgirl position. From this angle, he could drive into her with a ferocity that left her mind reeling, her resistance finally crumbling beneath the overwhelming tide of pleasure. As Wang Jian continued his relentless pursuit of Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan, he knew he had to break through her remaining resistance. With determination in his eyes and a mischievous grin on his lips, he unleashed a series of erotic maneuvers designed to push her to the brink of surrender. With a playful smirk, Wang Jian delivered a sharp smack to Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's voluptuous buttocks. Her flesh jiggled erotically under his touch, a tantalizing display of her undeniable allure. Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan gasped at the sudden sensation, a mixture of pain and pleasure coursing through her veins. But Wang Jian didn't stop there. He trailed his hands along her curves, fondling her breasts and teasing her sensitive nipples until she was writhing beneath him, her breath coming in ragged gasps as desire consumed her. With each touch, Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan's resistance began to crumble, her mind clouded by a haze of pleasure as Wang Jian pushed her closer and closer to the edge. She moaned aloud, unable to contain the overwhelming sensations coursing through her body. "Please," she begged, her voice a husky whisper. "More." Wang Jian smirked at her plea, his confidence growing with each passing moment. He knew he had her right where he wanted her, on the precipice of surrendering to him completely. But even as Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan succumbed to the pleasure, a part of her still resisted. She fought against the overwhelming tide of desire, determined to maintain control even as her body betrayed her. Wang Jian sensed her lingering resistance and redoubled his efforts, his movements becoming more urgent and insistent as he drove her closer to the edge. He whispered sweet promises in her ear, his voice a seductive melody that washed over her like a tidal wave. And then, in a moment of clarity amidst the chaos of pleasure, Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan made her decision. With a voice filled with conviction, she declared her consent to be Wang Jian's eternal slave, her words echoing through the chamber with a finality that left no room for doubt. As her declaration reverberated through the open ground, a sense of relief washed over Wang Jian. He had achieved his goal, bending Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan to his will and claiming her as his own. But Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan was not alone in her decision. As Wang Jian's clones continued their relentless assault on the Heavenly Jade Pavilion's elders, each one of them found themselves succumbing to the same overwhelming tide of pleasure and desire. As the first rays of dawn shone on them, the group stirred from their slumber. Wang Jian's clones dispersed, leaving him alone amidst a tangle of limbs and satisfied sighs. With a satisfied smile gracing his lips, Wang Jian gazed upon the women of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, their bodies entwined with his own, including Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan herself, now completely under his sway. As the group gradually awoke, the events of the previous night flooded back to them, and a wave of shock and anger washed over them. Many of the elders, along with Pavilion Mistress Cui Lan, felt a burning desire to exact revenge upon Wang Jian for his brazen actions. But just as the thought crossed their minds, they were struck by a sudden, agonizing pain that gripped their souls, freezing them in place. Their hands trembled, their minds reeling from the unexpected agony that coursed through them. It was as if their very souls were being torn asunder, leaving them powerless to even lift a finger against Wang Jian. With a casual air, Wang Jian explained the source of their torment. "That pain you're feeling," he said, his voice calm and collected, "is the mark of our eternal slave contract. As long as you remain bound by it, you'll find yourself unable to harm me in any way." His words sent a chill down the spines of the women gathered before him. They hadn't anticipated Wang Jian's ruthless tactics, nor did they realize the extent of his power over them. But Wang Jian wasn't finished yet. With a sly grin, he turned his gaze to one of the elders and issued a command. "Dance," he said simply. The elder recoiled at the command, her instincts urging her to resist. But to her horror, she found herself moving involuntarily, her body swaying to an invisible rhythm. Try as she might, she couldn't defy Wang Jian's command, her limbs moving of their own accord. It was a stark reminder of their newfound servitude, a testament to Wang Jian's control over their very beings. And as the realization sank in, the women of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion knew that they were truly at his mercy. Wang Jian grinned, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. With the eternal slave contracts binding the stunning elders and pavilion mistress Cui Lan to his will, he was practically the new king of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Sure, the night had been filled with some seriously mind-blowing fun, but his ultimate goal was bigger than just a steamy conquest. He wanted to take complete control of the entire pavilion. All those resources, all that territory, it would be the perfect haven for his beloved Yu Qing. First things first, though. He'd leverage the pavilion's influence throughout the eastern region to find her before those Star Lords did. Every elder, every spy, everyone who owed the pavilion a favor, they'd all be on the lookout for Yu Qing. Meanwhile, far across the cosmic eastern region, another story was unfolding. Chu Yang, the lone male disciple of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, thanks to his rare Heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians, was on a journey of his own. While Wang Jian was busy strategizing, Chu Yang was out there, muscles rippling and determination burning in his eyes, trying to unlock the full potential of those special meridians. Today, fate led him to a bustling star. There, he stumbled upon a battle, a 1-on-3 Star Lord showdown. The lone fighter was getting pummeled, his back against the wall. Chu Yang, a mere divine spirit realm cultivator amongst these powerhouses, beyond divine ascension, knew better than to jump in. The fight raged on, the lone Star Lord unleashing a flashy technique that surprised the attackers. It was a blinding escape tactic, and in a flash of light, the lone Star Lord vanished. The three attackers split up, searching every nook and cranny. By sheer luck, Chu Yang bumped into the escaped Star Lord. It turned out to be the legendary White Bone Star Lord, a big name with a reputation for being a heavyweight. The weakened Star Lord, with a desperate glint in his eyes, pleaded with Chu Yang, "Take my legacy, kill those three jerks." Chu Yang, ever the opportunist, readily agreed. After all, this legacy promised a power boost, the key to finally facing Wang Jian and settling that score. Those three Star Lords? They weren't his priority. Maybe later, after he got strong enough. Right now, Wang Jian was the thorn in his side. "Deal," Chu Yang said, his eyes gleaming. "Just show me what this legacy entails." Check out LTSTVL on novl/bin.cm. Accepting the White Bone Star Lord's legacy felt like diving headfirst into a swirling vortex of power. Images flooded Chu Yang's mind, intricate formations, bone-chilling martial arts techniques, and a chillingly familiar energy signature. The signature resonated deep within him, a dormant echo now awakened. It was the aura of the Heavenly Jade Emperor Meridians. The Star Lord chuckled, a raspy sound that echoed in Chu Yang's head. "Seems the legacy has a special affinity for your meridians, boy. That's fate smiling down on you." He explained the core abilities of the legacy, the bone transformation technique, a method to harden his body into near-impenetrable bone armor, and the white bone domain, a terrifying skill that drained the life force of anyone caught within its radius. Chu Yang felt a surge of excitement. These abilities were perfect for his aggressive fighting style. He bid farewell to the weakened Star Lord and set off, driven by a newfound purpose. His first stop was a treacherous mountain range rumored to house rare herbs for cultivation. The journey was perilous, crawling with ferocious beasts and cunning bandits. Yet, Chu Yang was a changed man. He activated the bone transformation technique, and his body transformed. His skin hardened, turning a pale, bone white. Razor-sharp claws extended from his fingertips, and his eyes glowed with an eerie white light. Emerging from a cave, he encountered a monstrous bear, its fur matted with blood. The beast roared, charging at him. Chu Yang met the charge head-on, his claws tearing through the bear's thick fur. The bear recoiled in shock, but before it could react, Chu Yang delivered a bone-crushing blow, sending the beast crashing to the ground, defeated. He spent weeks in the mountain range, collecting herbs while honing his newfound abilities. The bone transformation technique not only increased his defense but also enhanced his strength and agility. He even discovered a hidden cave with ancient cultivation manuals, left behind by a long-forgotten sect. News of his exploits trickled down, painting a picture of a ruthless cultivator with an uncanny bone armor and a chilling aura. He encountered a group of young cultivators from the prestigious Shui family, known for their water-based techniques. They mocked him, calling him a freak. But Chu Yang wasn't fazed. He unleashed the white bone domain, a silent wave of energy that drained the color from the environment. The Shui family members gasped, feeling their strength waning. They scrambled to escape, defeated without a fight. Word of his victory spread like wildfire. Whispers of the white bone demon reached even the grand sects like the Lin family. Some scorned him, others were intrigued. Yet, Chu Yang remained focused on his mission, becoming stronger and finding a way to control Wang Jian. His next challenge came in the form of a demon base nestled deep within a corrupted forest. Demons, twisted creatures fueled by negative emotions, were a constant threat to the eastern region. Chu Yang, with his honed white bone domain, made quick work of the lower-level demons. But a hulking demon general, reeking of sulfur and rage, emerged. The fight was brutal. The demon general's dark energy clashed with Chu Yang's bone armor. They traded blows, the forest floor cracking beneath their feet. But the legacy abilities proved superior. Chu Yang, utilizing the bone transformation technique, dodged a bone-crushing swing and retaliated with a flurry of bone-tipped claws. The general roared in pain, finally succumbing to the white bone domain's draining effects. News of the demon base's eradication further solidified Chu Yang's reputation. Cultivators from various sects, intrigued by his unorthodox yet effective techniques, sought him out. Some offered him alliances, others challenged him to duels. Each encounter pushed him further, honing his skills and strengthening his cultivation base. He learned to combine the White Bone Star-Lord's legacy with his own Heavenly Jade Emperor meridians, creating devastating techniques that sent shockwaves through the eastern region. One such technique, the Bone Dragon's Wrath, channeled the White Bone Domain's life-draining energy through his claws, creating a bone dragon-shaped attack that ravaged his opponents. As his legend grew, so did the whispers surrounding his association with the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Wang Jian, the conqueror of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion, became increasingly aware of the White Bone Demon. News of the White Bone Demon reached Wang Jian even within the confines of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion. Reports of Chu Yang's exploits, his brutal efficiency, and his terrifying white bone armor piqued some interest, but didn't exactly cause alarm. White Bone Demon, huh? Wang Jian mused, lounging on a plush cushion in his private quarters. Sounds like some wannabe cultivator trying to make a name for himself. The women of the pavilion, still bound to him by the eternal slave contract, stood around him, some fanning him, others tending to his every need. He glanced at pavilion mistress Cui Lan, her beauty still undeniable. Cui Lan, he addressed her, his voice casual, have you heard anything about this white bone demon? Cui Lan, eyes downcast, answered in a monotone, rumors abound, master. They say he's a fearsome cultivator with a strange bone armor and an aura that saps one's strength. Wang Jian chuckled, a sound devoid of genuine humor. Sounds more like a gimmick than anything. He dismissed the reports, his focus squarely on his own cultivation. His focus remained laser-sharp, the breakthrough to the divine tribulation realm. The lingering energy from his conquest of the Heavenly Jade Pavilion women, specifically the potent primordial energy he'd absorbed, had propelled him to this critical juncture. Reaching this realm was no small feat. Cultivators had to weather a brutal test, the Heavenly Tribulation. It was a cosmic phenomenon, a concentrated barrage of lightning and energy aimed at weeding out the weak. Only those strong enough to withstand its fury could ascend to a higher plane of existence. For this crucial moment, Wang Jian chose a secluded star within the heavenly Jade Pavilion's territory. This star was a repository of pure energy, ideal for facilitating his breakthrough. As he sat in meditation, a grayish energy pulsed around him, forming a dome that isolated him from the outside world. This was the precursor to the heavenly tribulations, nature's test to those daring to reach such heights. A low rumble echoed through the dome, the first wave of tribulation descending. A barrage of lightning bolts, crackling with raw power, arced towards him. Wang Jian's eyes snapped open, a flicker of amusement in their depths. He raised a hand, his palm crackling with a soft purple aura. As the first bolt struck, his aura flared, effortlessly absorbing the energy. Pathetic, he scoffed, a hint of disappointment in his voice. These initial tribulations were mere formalities, a warm-up for the real challenge. The second wave wasted no time in arriving. This time, it wasn't just lightning. Fiery meteors, blazing with an unholy crimson, plummeted towards him. Wang Jian's expression remained stoic. He unleashed a torrent of his own energy, condensing it into a swirling purple vortex. The meteors slammed into the vortex, disintegrating into harmless sparks as their energy fueled his own. The final wave, the one that truly separated the strong from the weak, roared to life. A colossal, swirling storm materialized above the dome, unleashing a torrent of chaotic energies. This was pure destruction, raw chaos that aimed to shatter his very being. A bead of sweat trickled down Wang Jian's temple. This was it. The real challenge. He closed his eyes, focusing every fiber of his being. He channeled the primordialine energy, merging it with his own rapidly expanding cultivation base. A blinding purple light erupted from him, pushing back against the storm's onslaught. The dome shook violently, threatened to crumble under the combined forces, but Wang Jian held firm. The light intensified, pushing back the storm inch by inch, until finally, with a deafening roar, it dissipated entirely. Silence descended, broken only by his ragged breathing. He opened his eyes, a triumphant grin splitting his face. He had done it. He had conquered the tribulation and emerged a cultivator of the divine tribulation realm. Power thrummed through him, a potent force yearning to be unleashed. Wang Jian stretched languidly in his silk-lined bed, the morning sun filtering through the ornate windows of his chambers. His gaze swept across the room, landing on the three slumbering figures nestled beside him. A wry smile touched his lips. "Morning, beauties," he drawled, his voice a husky rumble. Cui Lan, the pavilion mistress, stirred first, her eyes fluttering open. Shame colored her cheeks as she met his gaze. The memory of last night's passionate encounter was still fresh in her mind, a stark reminder of their new, unwelcome reality. "Good morning, Master Wang," she murmured, her voice devoid of its usual authority. Wang Jian chuckled, a sound both playful and unsettling. "No need for such formalities, Cui Lan. Just call me Jian." A flicker of defiance crossed her eyes, but it was quickly extinguished. The eternal slave contract was a brutal master, binding them to his will both physically and emotionally. The other two women, elders of the pavilion, stirred and mumbled drowsy greetings. The routine had become depressingly familiar. A night of forced intimacy, followed by a gnawing sense of shame and resentment. Wang Jian, however, seemed oblivious to their inner turmoil. He dismissed them with a wave of his hand, a predatory glint in his eyes. "Go, take care of your duties. But remember, you return to me tonight." The women rose, their movements stiff and awkward. As they left the room, a heavy silence settled in its wake. Wang Jian wasn't bothered. He had bigger things to worry about. Meanwhile, across the vast expanse of the eastern region, a different story unfolded. Chu Yang, the white-bone demon, had become a whirlwind of activity. He wasn't just cultivating his newfound abilities anymore, he was actively building alliances. So, you're telling me you can sniff out hidden resources like a celestial bloodhound? Elderly of the divine elemental sect chuckled, a hint of skepticism in his voice. Chu Yang grinned, a flash of white teeth gleaming beneath his bone-white mask. Not exactly, Elder. But the White-Bone Star-Lord's legacy has blessed me with a keen sense for energy fluctuations. Hidden veins of precious or powerful spirit stones, they all emit a faint energy signature I can detect. Intrigued, Elderly stroked his long beard. The Divine Elemental Sect was known for its mastery of elemental manipulation, but resources were always a concern. Finding a new vein of rare earth metals could take their formations to a whole new level. The next stop was the Heavenly Sword Sect, renowned for their unparalleled swordsmanship. Here, Chu Yang offered a different kind of assistance. He used his enhanced senses, courtesy of the legacy, to track down a hidden demon base rumored to be plaguing the region. Demons? Those foul creatures, boomed Elder Huang, the stern leader of the Heavenly Sword Sect. He readily accepted Chu Yang's offer. Together, they led a swift and brutal raid, decimating the demon base and securing the surrounding territory. News of Chu Yang's exploits spread like wildfire. Sects that had initially scoffed at the white-bone demon began to take notice. Tales of his resource-finding prowess, his uncanny ability to track demons, and his willingness to lend a hand in times of need slowly chipped away at the negative connotations associated with his unorthodox legacy. He wasn't just a ruthless cultivator anymore, he was becoming a valuable ally. Sects offered him access to their libraries, their training grounds, even their most prized martial arts techniques. In return, Chu Yang generously shared the treasures he unearthed with his newfound partners. An ancient elemental core for the Divine Elemental Sect, a legendary sword-forging manual for the Heavenly Sword Sect, these gestures of goodwill solidified his reputation as a fair and trustworthy collaborator. You've certainly become a force to be reckoned with, young man, Elder Feng, the wizened leader of the Stargazer sect, remarked, handing Chu Yang a dusty scroll. This technique, passed down through generations in our sect, might enhance your perception abilities even further. Chu Yang accepted the scroll with a grateful bow. Building bridges wasn't just about physical resources, it was about forging bonds, building trust, and creating a network of allies who could fight alongside him. The weeks blurred into months, a whirlwind of indulgence for Wang Jian. Evenings were spent lounging in his silk-lined chambers, beautiful women attending to his every whim. Cui Lan, stripped of her former authority, now served him grapes, her movements hesitant, her eyes downcast. A knock on the ornately carved door shattered the lazy ambience. A young disciple, her eyes wide with nervous energy, rushed in. "Master Wang," she stammered, bowing low. There's urgent news." Wang Jian gestured dismissively with a hand. "Spit it out, child. Don't keep a man waiting, especially when he's enjoying such delectable company." The young disciple gulped, her voice trembling slightly. We received a report from a scout station near the borders of the Fallen Star territory. They spotted the Scarlet Star Slaughter Goddess." A flicker of surprise, quickly masked by a predatory glint, entered Wang Jian's eyes. Yu Qing. So, his elusive love had finally surfaced. "Where?" he demanded, leaning forward. "The ancient devil stars," the disciple stammered. Cui Lan's hand, hovering near Wang Jian's mouth with a grape, stilled. "The ancient devil stars?" she echoed, her voice laced with concern. Wang Jian turned to her, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "Get dressed, Cui Lan," he said curtly. "We're leaving." Chui Lan, momentarily startled out of her role as a pampered concubine, blinked at him. Confusion clouded her beautiful face. Leaving, Master Wang? But where, and why? Wang Jian didn't have time for explanations. The thought of Yu Qing, vulnerable and alone, fueled his urgency. The ancient devil stars, he spat out, frustration tinging his voice. We're going to the ancient devil stars. Chui Lan's eyes widened in alarm. But, Master Wang, that's demon territory. It's a cluster of stars notorious for their ruthless inhabitants and their formidable array formations. Even the God King of the eastern region wouldn't dare venture there lightly. A smirk played on Wang Jian's lips. Precisely. Wouldn't it be the perfect hiding place for someone hunted by Star Lords? Besides, the Heavenly Jade Pavilion has resources, doesn't it? Chui Lan bit her lip, a flicker of defiance warring with the ever-present obedience in her eyes. We do, Master Wang, but... He cut her off with a wave of his hand. No buts, Chui Lan. Fetch the fastest flying ship we have. I need to modify its array formations to make it completely undetectable. We're going in stealth mode. Chui Lan knew arguing was futile. With a resigned sigh, she rose, the alluring sway of her hips accentuated by the silken robe. As you command, Master Wang, she murmured, turning to leave. The following hours were a whirlwind of activity. Wang Jian, fueled by a potent mix of excitement and apprehension, pored over ancient scrolls on demon constructs and the layouts of the ancient devil stars. He meticulously planned modifications for the chosen flying ship, weaving in cloaking formations gleaned from obscure texts deep within the Heavenly Jade Pavilion's library. Chui Lan, despite her reservations, couldn't help but be impressed by his meticulousness. He wasn't just some reckless playboy, he possessed a strategic mind and a keen understanding of array formations. By the time dawn painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, the flying ship stood transformed. Its once gleaming exterior was now shrouded in a shimmering veil that seemed to absorb light itself. Wang Jian surveyed his handiwork with a satisfied grin. No Star Lord, no demon sentry will see us coming, he muttered to himself, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. He boarded the ship, Chui Lan following silently in his wake. As the engines hummed to life, propelling the vessel forward with an almost unnatural silence, Wang Jian knew this was just the beginning. The hunt for Yu Qing was on, and he wouldn't rest until he held her in his arms once more. The journey to the ancient devil stars was a monotonous blur of hyperspace travel. Days bled into weeks, the only breaks in the monotony being the hum of the engines and Wang Jian's extracurricular activities. Confined to the luxurious confines of the flying ship, Wang Jian found solace in the company and bodies of the pavilion's most captivating women. Chui Lan, stripped of her former authority, became a willing participant in his carnal desires. The elders, once figures of respect and power, were now reduced to pampering him, their movements imbued with a mix of resignation and a flicker of defiance that only fueled Wang Jian's predatory instincts. That was delightful, Lan, Wang Jian purred, reclining against the plush cushions. Chui Lan adjusted her silk robe, her cheeks flushed with a mixture of shame and a strange, lingering thrill. The eternal slave contract ensured obedience, but it couldn't erase a lifetime of ingrained pride. Anything for you, Master Wang, she murmured, her voice a husky whisper. Wang Jian chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. Excellent. Now, how about a game of celestial chess? Winner gets another round. He trailed off, his eyes glinting suggestively. Chui Lan forced a smile, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Meanwhile, the ship's autopilot steered the vessel through the treacherous hyperspace lanes. Wang Jian, ever vigilant, occasionally scanned the empty void with his enhanced senses, a relic of one of the cultivation techniques he'd absorbed. The cloaking formations held strong, his handiwork rendering them invisible to any prying eyes. Full 0W current novels on n/o/v/3l/b in.co/m. Days turned into weeks, the journey punctuated by whispered conversations, stolen moments of pleasure, and the ever-present hum of the engines. Wang Jian spent some time studying ancient texts on the demon race, gleaned from the Heavenly Jade Pavilion's library. He needed to be prepared for anything, after all, he was venturing into the heart of enemy territory. One starlit night, as Wang Jian sat deep in meditation, a flicker of movement on a nearby sensor array caught his attention. He frowned, his eyes snapping open. It was a faint blip, barely a whisper on the vast cosmic canvas, but it was there. An anomaly. He activated the ship's long-range scanners, focusing them on the source of the blip. The image that materialized on the holographic display sent a jolt of surprise through him. It was another vessel, cloaked in a similar energy signature to his own. Strange, he muttered, stroking his chin thoughtfully. Who else could have mastered such advanced cloaking technology in the eastern region? Unknown to Wang Jian, the other vessel carried a passenger with a score to settle. Lin Fei, his face grim with determination, steered his own modified flying ship towards the approaching darkness of the ancient devil stars. Years of relentless training and a burning desire for revenge had fueled Lin Fei's path. Since his humiliating defeat at the hands of Wang Jian, he had dedicated himself to increasing his power. He'd reached the peak of the divine spirit realm, a formidable feat in itself. But his greatest advantage lay slumbering beside him, a creature of legend, hatched from the mysterious egg, a divine phoenix. This magnificent bird, its fiery plumage radiating dual elements of phoenix flames and phoenix lightning, had reached the divine tribulation realm in its infancy. Its power was immense, and for Lin Fei, it represented the key to his vengeance and the potential downfall of both demons and his sworn enemy, Wang Jian. The journey had been long, but Lin Fei wasn't one to shy away from danger. He needed demon cores to further cultivate the divine phoenix, and the ancient devil stars, with its teeming demon population, offered a prime hunting ground. Little did either Wang Jian or Lin Fei know, their destinies were about to converge in the most unexpected of ways, within the perilous confines of the demon-controlled stars. Well, truckers, that's all for this part. See you all in the next video.